Out of the gates and ready to go. Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow is underway on this Thursday edition. We're getting to the weekend. We're getting through the week. Glad you're with us across the Outkick network. It includes YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Outkick.com, and more, and this great radio station that you may be listening to. We've got Trey Wallace, college football writer for Outkick.com, who will join us in about 20 minutes. Plenty to discuss on the money that rules the NFL now, potentially moving everything towards an NFL model in college football, and his take on the SEC West plus the Big Ten surprises. We'll ask Trey about that straight ahead. Armando Salguero with the very latest across NFL training camps, where injuries seem to be the headline throughout some joint practices over the last couple of days leading into preseason week number 2. And lights out in hour 3, Sean Merriman joins us. We'll get his take on the top NFL defensive player currently. Chad, good afternoon.
Hutton, just getting ready for the show today, looked up and I thought to myself, it's Thursday.
Just like that.
It's gone fast. It is already Thursday. That's how fast this week has gone. Excited about today's show. Excited about Lights Out. I feel like maybe Michael Oher's estate, not as excited about recent news coming out involving him.
Yeah, and that's where we start with our headlines of the day here on Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow. So you mentioned the week's moving fast. This story has progressed fast over each of the last several days. Sean and Leanne Tuohy want to end the conservatorship. That, according to lawyers that are representing the family, and they're saying they're tired of the drama, they're tired of the headlines. Sure, we'll end the conservatorship if that's exactly what Michael Oher is wanting. And this goes further than just that, because Bobby Barak at Outkick.com did a really nice job going back to 2011, where Oher admits he writes of knowing about the conservatorship as late as or as early as 2011 in a book where he said that they were named his legal conservators at the age of 18.
Yeah, this is not adding up well for him. The timeline of it, saying I just found out about it in February 2023 doesn't look good. There's also various reports now about the money being in line with what the Tuohys claimed all along. You can't write in a book that the word conservatorship and that you know about it and then forget about that when you come out and say this in 2023. Now, the only claim I guess Oher could have, which would be a very bad one for him because it'd be admitting something that not many people want to admit, is that he didn't really write his own book and that someone else worked on it and used that word and he didn't know what it meant and he didn't even know it was in there. That's about the only defense right now for that.
So Michael Lewis, who wrote The Blind Side, he's the author prior to the movie, he's given the most detail of the finances, what was paid, what wasn't, what he paid, what Hollywood paid, and gave several great quotes in an interview with the Washington Post. So he details in a movie that earned $310 million that, and Tuohy's lawyer said yesterday that they estimated Oher and his family received $100,000 apiece, and the couple, Sean and Leanne Tuohy, paid the taxes on Oher's piece of that pie, of the player's portion. Quote from Lewis: "Everybody should be mad at the Hollywood studio system. Michael Oher should join the writer's strike. It's outrageous how Hollywood accounting works, but the money is not in the Tuohy's pockets." Lewis said that the studio paid $250,000 for the option to make the book into a movie, and that he split the money evenly with the Tuohy family. He said the Tuohy family said that they split their share, and while the movie was certainly a box office smash, Lewis said that he and the Tuohy family received around $350,000 each from the movie's profits. And I'm reading from Fox News here. Lewis said the Tuohy family planned to share the money with Oher, but the NFL player declined his royalty checks, and that Lewis thought the Tuohy family had put the checks into a trust for Oher's son. Quote, "I feel really sad about when I watched this whole thing up close. They showered him with resources and love. That he's suspicious of them is breathtaking. The state of mind one has to be in to do that, I feel sad for him." That from Michael Lewis, the author of The Blind Side.
Yeah, I heard and read Lewis's quotes, and I immediately thought, that, especially the last one you just mentioned there, Hutton, about the state of mind that he's in. One of two things now, just speculating. Is this a money thing in that not about the withholding of money, but needing money for Michael Oher? right? I mentioned this when this news broke. Is he in some sort of financial trouble? I wouldn't think so, based on his career, based on making a little bit of money from this also. I don't think that would be the issue, but we have seen stories like that in the past. And the other one is, I mean, we've seen families break apart.
Sure.
You know, it's not completely uncommon that someone's typically wrong in it. You know, there's more of a wronged side than the other. And everything I'm hearing right now from the Tuohy family, this is like volley and serve and volley is what we're having now through the media. This is something, first off, that should never get out in the media. But it's in the media because Michael Oher filed a petition and is suing the Tuohys. So the Tuohys had to respond publicly also. So now we got this serve and volley back and forth with something that should be handled internally. But then I asked, why is it not being handled internally? Why did they break off communication years ago, apparently? Why is there no relationship? It certainly sounds like, through all the context clues out there, this was a Michael Oher decision to distance himself from the Tuohys, from the blindside story, which we knew this, Hutton, and we've talked to other reporters. He did not want to answer questions about throughout his NFL career, did not want to talk about the movie. Something's happened here, and I don't know if it was one big event or just a misperception from Michael Oher of how he was being perceived by people because the movie that ended up tearing this thing apart.
What this ultimately comes down to is he doesn't want the conservatorship in place. You know, he's asking for the injunction there because he doesn't want the finances of anything now or then to be controlled by the Tuohys. And going through more of what Michael Lewis had to say and the details of the story. So the conservatorship paperwork filed in 2004, just 2 or 3 months, I believe, after he turned 18. We know that was, at least from the Tuohy's angle here, that was to clear up issues about being enrolled at Ole Miss, getting through the NCAA issues that were involved in that in enrollment and playing at Ole Miss, or accused the family of never taking legal action to assume custody of him, and that would be through the Tennessee Department of Human Services, and that was before he turned 18. Months after he turned 18, he signs this document where he said he was falsely advised that it would be called a conservatorship, but it was the intent of an adoption. That's through the FoxNews.com story that has the quotes from Michael Lewis. So then it leads to this, and here we are with the allegations that he's asking for $15 million, and he's not going to go public with this. He's not going to file this claim in court. And the back and forth continues where ultimately the Tuohys are like, hey, we're just going to sign off and agree to end the conservatorship.
Yeah.
While he's on a book tour.
Which, I mean, that was easy. You know, again, like, why didn't you just send them, instead of texting them allegedly trying to shake them down for money, if this was really what it was about?
But the issue, like, wasn't
that pretty easy of the Tuohys to say, yeah, you can, we'll
keep going back
disavow the conservatorship.
And Michael Lewis is also confirming what the Tuohys have said here. And there's a lot of different numbers thrown around, but it's not like the $15 million that has been alleged from the lawyer for the family saying that was what Oher had asked for in order to stay quiet. But the other percentage point that we referenced earlier this week was 2.5% of the net proceeds of a $300 million film. And that has yet to be, you know, confirmed, denied, anything based on, I mean, that would also pretty easy to look at and say, okay, this is true or this is false based on records. So would the text messages that Oher allegedly sent a couple of years ago.
Michael Lewis also confirmed what a lot of people knew was the conservatorship was made or put into place after he was 18 so he could go to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Because the NCAA was breathing down their neck, and they were seeing it as a booster housing a prospect illegally until they formed the conservatorship. So it was much about football and eligibility as anything else.
And that was for enrollment. You're right. That was for insurance, driver's license, all of it. And then it goes on to say that the petition was granted even though he was already 18 and even though he had no diagnosis of physical or psychological disabilities. So they got that through in order for him to end up playing for the Ole Miss Rebels. He ends up being a first-round pick.
I do wonder when we're going to hear from Oher's side again, if at all. If you remember, the attorneys for the Tuohy family said that he attempted and tried a lot of different lawyers before he found this lawyer to actually take his case. And I'm seeing some of the timeline stuff and what Michael Oher's gotten wrong. And I hate to say it, but this wasn't done in a very smart way. based on all the information coming out now that would be easy to prove, and the fact that Tuohy's are just saying, yeah, we'll end the conservatorship, no problem.
And the story at Outkick, I mean, blows the whole thing out of the water about learn this in February of this year. You know, that's the other big piece in detail that has been referenced a lot.
Michael Oher's chief complaint about the movie, one of them he's talked about, was he had to fight the stigma that he was slow or that he wasn't smart his whole life because the way the movie depicted him.
Mm-hmm.
The way he's handling this does not make him look the brightest either.
But
that's unfortunate.
But the details of that claim are, I mean, it's not just surface level money that we're talking about here, though. You know, the other things involved, and you know, the whole tricked him into signing that. That is really the detail that it comes down to for me, and how he felt duped at 18, and now at 37, saying he's just learned about the true intent, according to him, of why he was asked to sign that. But the true intent was also involved in getting him to where he is.
Look, I would buy this line of thinking if Michael Oher would be the one to say, yeah, the moment I got done playing at Ole Miss, they didn't contact me. They weren't in my life at all. They never tried to reach out. This was all about football. I feel used. Okay, that's believable. But that didn't happen. Based on all accounts, it was Oher who broke off communication with the Tuohys. So
nearly a decade ago.
Again, like if it was, man, I really feel used because they didn't care anything about me and they just lived off the proceeds from the movie and the fame from the movie and everything else. Okay, I'm willing to hear that out. But it looks like it was you who didn't want to have anything to do with them, not the other way around. So who used whom here? You were the one that got the resources.
Both benefited, for sure.
Both benefited, but I mean, you see what I'm saying? Like, he's the one who broke it off.
Yes, and he's allegedly the one who's been
that's contradictory to the
for money
claim
for years.
The claim that I was used, unless they can prove a money trail.
Right.
You would have been used if it was, all right, you're done playing for my alma mater. See ya.
Well, but
I mean, they were around him and in contact with him for years after.
So by ending the conservatorship, does this just go away? They're agreeing to do this after the lawsuit was filed on Monday. Does it just go away, or does it continue based on the claims that there's more money behind the scenes than what's being portrayed in the public? That's the next step to this.
If they can easily prove what everyone is claiming now in the reports,
one side or the other should be able to do it.
About the 86,000 or whatever the exact number is that was divvied up between the five of them.
Mm-hmm.
Case closed. And they're ending the conservatorship. And now, unless they started a line of children's books with Michael Oher's image on it and made a bunch of money off of it that I don't know about. I mean, have they done other ventures other than the movie in Oher's name and made money? Now, that's a claim that Oher could make.
The only thing that has been alleged is residuals, right?
That's what, yes, yeah.
And that's the 2.5%.
There's also a broad in the
I agree.
The complaint, there's a broad, like they've made money off my name, image, and likeness for years.
And they're saying they're going to ask for financial documents of that. Now, again, does it go away now, the conservatorship? They're saying they'll end it. They'll sign documents that waive that now.
Look, it's a compelling.
This is more than about $100,000.
It's a compelling drama that's taking place here between the two families, and it's made more so because we're all familiar with the story. Because most people in general, I feel like, are familiar with the movie and the story, but everyone who's a sports fan is familiar with the story in the movie.
Yeah, the story, the movie. Sandra Bullock wins an Academy Award, Best Actress. You've got Tim McGraw in the film as well. And Quentin Aaron, who played Michael Oher in The Blind Side, had this to say about the request that Sandra Bullock turned back in her Academy Award winning performance, Oscar.
I love this.
Based on this story.
I wish they'd just leave her alone because, she's going through her own things right now, with the love she just lost. My thoughts and prayers go out to her as well, in her time. And the last thing she needs is for the internet trolls to be coming at her, talking about something. We should take her Oscar. Like, just go sit down. Go get a job. Stop. Leave her alone. Man, I'm a teddy bear. I like to think of myself as a teddy bear. But if you mess with the people I love, I will become a grizzly bear. I'm just saying.
I love that.
That's great. I'm a teddy bear, but if you mess with the ones I love, I'll become a grizzly bear. That's one of the best things ever said. I also love how he ends it with, get a job. To the internet trolls that want Sandy
Bullock's
her
job.
Oscar.
She portrayed Leanne Tuohy.
I don't understand how people don't understand this. Like the
Well,
whole
no,
the whole
people,
concept of.
that's a broad stroke. This is a
But
very
like
small
you're,
group.
you're being paid to portray someone,
Yeah.
right? Like I don't understand how people don't understand that there is a disconnect there. It is a script she is reading, that she is reading someone else's words written for her. She didn't write the book. Michael Lewis did. She didn't write the screenplay. I don't know who wrote it, but she didn't write any of that. She is an actress paid to memorize words, recite them in a way that is entertaining and compelling to an audience that will watch the movie
And did it better,
or anything
Chad,
she's in.
than Natalie Portman in Black Swan that year.
Debatable, but
She won the
The
award.
Academy thought that she was better than Natalie Portman in Black Swan, so good for her. But it's not her responsibility. If Leanne Tuohy does something crazy after the movie or before, that's not Sandra Bullock doing it. I feel odd even having to try to explain this to people. You realize those are two different people. She's just playing a character that happened to exist. So if she perpetuated some myth that you believe exists, then she deserved the Academy Award even more because she did such a great job portraying it in a way that it convinced you that it was all true. It's crazy.
People are stupid.
Dumb.
They just want the reaction. They want people to pay for nothing that they had to do with anything.
Get a job, as the guy who played Michael Orr said.
Right.
I echo his sentiment.
Coming up, Trey Wallace. His job is to cover college football for Outkick.com. We'll chat across the college football landscape with Trey. That's next on Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow.
Jason Aldean's new song. Jason Aldean's new song, Don't Try It in a Small, Try That in a Small Town, is awesome. It's basically saying to you Antifa clowns out there and you rioters, look, you can go ahead and burn down Democratic-run cities. And the cops, at least in Indianapolis, will be told by an alleged drunken mayor to stand down. That's fine. But don't try that in a small town. You saw what happened in Crown Point, Indiana. Crown Point, Indiana, there was rumored that a group was coming in to tear it up. Crown Point's just a little south of Gary. And all the fellas got their shotguns out and lined the streets. Do you know how much trouble there was in Crown Point, Indiana? Bam. Zero. Zip. Nada. Liberals went nuts. Oh, this is racism. No, not really. Hey, there's white Antifa. There's black Antifa. You're just protecting your streets. You're just protecting the businesses that you use. See, here in Indy, we did not protect the businesses that we use. We let idiots run wild. We let idiots burn. We let idiots break. We let idiots destroy. That's not the way to go about it. You try that in a small town. Here's what happened in Ottawa Lakes, Michigan, where my wife's from. There was a rumor, group was coming up from both Toledo and Cincinnati. And they were going to go into this gun store and loot it. Word got out. Neighborhood app got started. You know what happened? The fellas, I think it was Ottawa Lakes. There's another town right there. It could be a different town. I don't know. They're all there. You know what happened? The fellas surrounded and protected the gun store. You know the rest of the story, right? The Antifa pussies came up, looked around, saw they were being challenged, and like every single group of bullies, turned around and left. Damn right. That's a small town. And if you think Don't Try It in a Small Town country music, television or whatever is racist, tough. Good for you. We don't. It's number one on the charts. And I put out a tweet earlier today of an African-American guy, big, strong guy, that said, hey, don't be coming down here to Alabama. African-American guy. I'll retweet it. Said, don't even think about coming down here and starting that crap. Don't even think about it. Well, guess what? He ain't wrong. It ain't about black or white. It's about protecting the businesses that you use against people that are trying to destroy your town. And Jason Aldean ain't wrong, baby. And you liberals can bitch and whine and moan and write your articles and try to cancel him or cancel me for standing up for it or get mad at Outkick. I don't care. I love seeing what happened in Ottawa Lakes. You want to come in here? Ain't happening. It just ain't happening. Crown Point, Indiana, everybody called them racist because it was white guys with shotguns. You know what they did? They protected their town. I wish we'd have protected our town here in Indy. You go into Indy, it is awful, horrendous, horrific. Nothing going on downtown for the most part.
Chad, we are close to the kickoff of the college football season. Welcome back.
So close.
Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow across the Outkick Network, live from 6th and Peabody with EHOP Beer and Old Smoky Moonshine.
9 days away from week 0, Hutton. 9 days away. USC plays, I think, San Jose State that Saturday night of week 0.
Current member of the Pac-12, maybe a future member of the Pac-12.
Vandy gets to play in that construction zone against
That's right.
Hawaii that Saturday night.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
And Georgia gets to visit.
Reserve your
later in
dirt
the
pile
season.
today at godoors.com.
A lot of construction at both end zones right now they're going to be playing through. Trey Wallace joins us. He's excited for the start of the 2023 college season. Trey, hope you're doing well, man.
I'm good. Chad just got me with that construction zone right when we got rolling. So no, man, I'm good, dude. We are this is the last weekend without college football. And I mean some interesting games in week 0, Hawaii, Vanderbilt, USC, San Jose State, then Navy, Notre Dame, and then we get the Spanish broadcast of Fresno State. So I'm looking forward to it. Should be fun.
I want to get your take on Alabama because when the AP Top 25 poll came out, they're number 4. And I just pointed out, like, man, there is a lot of confidence in the new quarterbacks rolling in. And I don't buy it right now based on the strength of LSU and what Jaden Daniels can do now with what we're seeing with Brian Kelly and how good they were last year, a year ahead of where we thought they'd be, quite honestly. And then, of course, Bama's compared to Georgia. Bama's going to be good, but Saban, as Chad pointed out when I brought this up earlier in the week, Trey, he's very relaxed, very calm, cool, and collected, doesn't seem very stressed. So which side do you lean in terms of Alabama's number 4 in the country to kick off the college football season?
Yeah, I mean, you hit it, and you talk about the SEC West quarterbacks as well. I mean, you got KJ Jefferson at Arkansas, you got Will Rogers at Mississippi State, Connor Weigman at Texas A&M. I could go on.
Yeah.
I look at the Alabama quarterback situation, and look, I think that MTSU game is I don't want to say a tryout. I think Nick Saban's going to know who he's going to want at quarterback. But I do think there's an opportunity for Ty Simpson to play in that game with Jalen Milroe. I felt from the start of fall camp that Jalen Milroe would probably be the guy. But I look at it right now, and Nick Saban, he does act like he's comfortable, and maybe he is in these press conferences, but that's Nick Saban too. But in talking with some folks in behind the scenes at Alabama, the way that they have, Tommy Rees coming in as the offensive coordinator, trying to install different things, the same type of offense that they've been running, but Tommy Rees is bringing a little bit of flair when it comes to that running game, when it comes to pounding the football. I think, in my personal opinion, what fits right now is Jalen Milroe with his ability to get outside the pocket. He can sling the football. We've seen that. And it's hard. Last year, was difficult for him to hop into certain circumstances and be that guy.
And that's part of my problem too, is the snapshot.
Right. Yeah. we didn't get a full picture of what Jalen Milroe is. So we have to wonder, okay, what does Ty Simpson look like? And then what does Jalen Milroe look like? And we can't forget about Tyler Buckner, though I thought he was brought in just for a veteran presence in that locker room. And I think as we sit here right now, we're week and a half away pretty much from Alabama having to figure out and name that starting quarterback. And hell, they could do it this afternoon or tomorrow. I don't know. But I think overall, you look at the rest of the SEC as a whole right now, and I feel more comfortable at quarterback spots at other football teams than I do about Alabama. And that hasn't happened in a long time. I think, I was going back and I was looking at it, and I feel like Jacob Coker might have been the last quarterback where you really went into the season like, okay, is this the guy that's going to do it? Coker transferred from Florida State. So I look at this situation. I look, Saban's going to figure it out one way or the other. And if that means Jalen Milroe comes out against MTSU and throws 2 interceptions and is not comfortable running that offense, and then they have to go with Ty Simpson, then potentially that's the case. But I imagine, Nick Saban would love to be in a better spot right now, in my opinion, from a stable quarterback situation that he's in, because he's looking around the country. He's looking at other teams in the SEC West, and they're already set at the position. So, I just think you're going to hear a lot of Sabanism over the next week and a half as we get closer to that first game. But they better get ready. Longhorns are coming to town in that second week, and they've got their guy.
Yeah, and I'll my final take, and then I'll turn it over to Chad. Is look, they're stacked everywhere else. I get it, but he seems at peace with the position. Part of his whole demeanor has to be about quarterback and how comfortable he is, because they didn't address it. They did in the portal, but they didn't in the portal. They could have really brought someone else in and chose not to, meaning they're cool with what they have. And what was the lead by Tennessee over Alabama at one point on that Saturday in October?
I think they were up 17 maybe at one point.
Yeah, and Bryce Young was the reason why they didn't get blown out in that game. And there have been other instances where the quarterback has certainly kept them in it when they haven't been at their best. And I'm more concerned about that than I guess where they're ranked number 4, where even at their best, they were losing games last year. That's only where and number 4 may be granted. It's the lowest they've been in a preseason poll in years. But Chad, it's to me, it's just stood out because of the way we saw Bama in the season and the lumps and the losses that they have, albeit by final possessions.
Well, it's 2009. It was 2009 the last time, they've been ranked outside the top 3. And I think the biggest thing that maybe makes Nick Saban comfortable on this, guys, is that he has got a strong running game. Like knowing that you could turn around, hand the ball off, and go, I think that's got to help with him staying calm. But, yeah, guys, on the inside in those staff meetings, I'm sure he was tripping out over the summer on what they were going to do at this position.
I mean, that was year 3 of Nick Saban in 2009. 14 years ago was the last. That's a great stack. Last time they were outside the top 3 in a preseason poll is nuts.
It is.
2 teams in the top 5 right now, or close to it, Florida State and LSU, meeting in week 1. I'm going to make a bold proclamation right now, Trey. If Florida State beats LSU, they are in the college football playoff, because all they have left on their schedule is Clemson. Granted, that game is at Clemson. I think if they split those 2 games, LSU and Clemson, they will win the rest and be in the playoff as a 1-loss team. I say that for this point. What a launch pad moment for both LSU and Florida State, whoever wins that game in Orlando in week 1 for the rest of their season, to get a top 5 win right out of the gates.
They're not losing to Miami. And they're not losing to Florida.
Yeah, they play at Florida and they get Miami at home. And outside of that, I mean, at Pittsburgh, at Wake Forest, there's not a lot of big tripwires on the schedule for Florida State.
No, and the biggest thing that stands out to me is how far Mike Norvell's got this program, especially with quarterback Jordan Travis. And you guys remember that game against Jacksonville State, where Jacksonville State won that football game, and you're like, well, wait a minute. Look at the Florida State football program and where they're at now. Now, look where they went from that point to where they are now. I think that game in Orlando, it's massive. And look, we say that a lot about a lot of these non-conference games or even in-conference games, but man, a starting point to the season. Look at how last year went, with this game right here. Yeah, LSU lost the crazy way that they did. They had a rough 5 weeks, and then they turn it around, towards the middle of the season. I look at it overall going forward and how this thing is going to play out when it comes to both teams. And I just feel like right now, Florida State is in that spot where you look at it overall from a position standpoint of what Mike Norvell has. That first game is going to be so big for both teams. And I feel like the launching pad for Florida State is going to come when they beat LSU. I think they beat LSU. I like Jaden Daniels. I like what LSU has, but something in me just says Mike Norvell's got this program turned around, and they'll start that thing off with a win over the Tigers.
Trey, I know you wrote at Outkick.com about my college football as the NFL plan of 32 teams. People are pissed off about this, and I understand it. It's something that's going to cause a lot of debate on it. The two biggest complaints, though, that I've gotten, one, no one believes Syracuse should be on that list, which understandable, very debatable. I get it. The other one is college football fans, Trey, still care about geography. Isn't that a novel concept that regional rivalries and playing games close to where you are actually matters to fans? It doesn't matter to conferences.
Yeah.
Because of money.
Well, we are seeing a change in what we have in college football, Chad, when it comes to how television networks are going after, these contracts and the money situation and where we're at right now with where we're at in college football. And I'm talking about, look at the new contracts that are going to happen over the next couple years. That's what stands out to me the most, is how this is going to, when it comes to, let's say, the next Big Ten contract or the next SEC contract that comes up. Think about how big that's going to be from a national standpoint and a money standpoint for each of these schools. We don't know what the ACC is going to look like in 3 years or 4 years, or what this thing's like after the grant of rights. And Chad, the way we're headed right now in college football, it just feels like we're going towards those mega conferences that turn into, division pods and whatnot. Okay, we'll see. But I do feel like we're heading towards a mega conference situation where you're going to have to figure out, is it going to be the Southeastern Conference with the ACC and the Big Ten with others, or how they end up spacing that out? So that's why I feel like right now, like, your teams and the way that you put in there, it's not far off the mark of what I think college football is going to look like. And I think it has to a lot of it has to do, and this, is with television money, man. It's, $10 billion. Think about that. $10 billion for two conferences in college football with their television contracts. That is mind-blowing to me, to think about that money and the return on investment they're going to need over the next number of years. I'm very interested to see that return on investment. So, you're not far off on this thing. And I think that, once we get to, let's just say 2031, 2032, I am so curious to see how conference commissioners, first off, I want to see if we have a college football czar per se, and if that's Greg Sankey or whoever that might be down the road. But things are going to definitely change, and it's not going to stay where we're at right now. And I think that just needs to be I think fans need to understand that these regional situations are probably going away, not in the next 8 or 9 years, but I think, 15 years from now, college football is going to look completely different.
Trey, exactly 1 minute here. I know you've got a piece coming on Swamp Kings, Untold with Netflix. Tell us about what we should expect there. And I know you've had the chance to see a behind-the-scenes preview of this.
Yeah, it's I'm not going to spoil anything. It's a very interesting documentary. I got to sit down with the director and discuss what was going on, and overall look at how they documented Urban Meyer and Tim Tebow through this, along with the off the field situations. I will give you a small little hint towards what's coming tomorrow. I was not impressed with what they put together on Netflix. I'll leave it at that. And a lot of folks will get to watch that next Tuesday. So
Yeah.
just check out the piece that comes tomorrow.
Yeah, and this debuts next Tuesday, the 22nd on Netflix. I'm really looking forward to it. Your piece and Swamp King's too.
I'm looking forward to it less now with that review, though.
Yeah, well,
No, different
still watch
people,
it.
different people, different views. I just,
All right.
there were a couple things that stood out to me. Don't get all down on me, Chad. Come on,
You're
bro.
telling me that Urban Meyer had creative control over this project for him to be interviewed on it. Is that what it looks like?
Nope, didn't say that at all.
Okay. All right.
well,
I'll
Chad's
watch.
back in.
I'll watch. I'll form my own opinion on it.
Chad's
There
back
you
in.
go.
Trey, thank you as always, man. Have a great rest of the week, and
You're the
next
man,
week
Trey.
we'll be talking games, man.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Look forward to it.
Same here. Trey Wallace. Check out the Trey Wallace podcast at outkick.com, and the great piece there that will be launching soon at outkick.com on Swamp Kings from Trey Wallace. Armando Salguero will be joining us a bit later in today's show. Sean Merriman in hour number 3, Lights Out. He's still got the Lights Out Extreme Fighting promotion he's doing, plus plenty to discuss across the NFL. We've got also later, Chad, NFL injury updates from camps, a lot of joint practices going on. And when we come back, there are plenty of former athletes for Northwestern that have co-signed a letter that they condemn hazing in any form, and they're backing up the culture at Northwestern and defending the athletics program. We'll dive into what they said, how they said it, and what we took away from it. That's next on Hot Mic.
The two biggest social media giants, Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, are set to battle it out, and I'm here on Broadway asking people who they put their money on. Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk? They're gonna fight each other. Who do you think's gonna win?
I think Mark's got him.
Really?
Yeah,
Why do you think that?
because he's a man.
Okay, and Elon Musk isn't.
Oh, well, of course, he's got money.
Okay.
He's got money. Money, well, money's money.
Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg in a fight?
I don't know. I'm going to go with Musk.
Why?
It just seems like he's a little bit younger, a little bit smarter.
You just got a good feeling about
I
him?
got a good feeling.
Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg?
Musk.
Why?
He trains. That guy's gonna beat his.
But Mark Zuckerberg is actually training jiu-jitsu for 9 months.
Not happening. Not Elon Musk all day. Elon Musk.
Why do you think?
He has no soul. I mean, I think he's definitely just gonna no holds barred.
Elon Musk.
Why do you think that?
I don't know. I feel like he's stronger and smarter.
Oh, Elon Musk.
All the way? Why?
All the way. He's an animal. Think about it.
Mark Zuckerberg's been training for 9 months jiu-jitsu. You think Elon Musk can take him?
Yeah, I think he could take him.
Elon, that oh God, stop playing with Elon. Elon really do this out here, for real.
I hope Elon
Really? Why do you think so?
got better ideas.
Zuckerberg's like 5'7", 155. Musk is 6'1", 190. But Zuckerberg's been training jiu-jitsu for 9 months. Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg, who's going to win in a fight?
Oh, Elon Musk. No doubt.
Why do you think so?
He's the GOAT. I've been seeing all the Twitter handles and all the talk, and I'm on Elon Musk's side. I'm ready for them to get in the WWE ring and then come off the top rope. That's what I want to see. I want to see a people's elbow to Mark Zuckerberg.
If one was more likely to be a lizard or a robot, who would it be?
Elon.
Okay.
I think Mark Zuckerberg will win
Why do you think that?
because I think he already trains MMA, so he's got like the prior experience and stuff. I mean, they're both billionaires, so they have the opportunity to get the best training. But I think Mark Zuckerberg will pull away with the win.
Elon Musk.
Why do you think so?
Because he's bigger.
Bigger. Okay, but Mark Zuckerberg's been training jiu-jitsu for 9 months. Do you think that matters?
No.
Zuckerberg, he's part alien or robot, so he may have some secret powers that we don't know about.
I was going to say, is that an advantage? Does he have an advantage over Elon Musk then?
Yeah, I mean, if he, sheds his skin and becomes an alien and eats everyone, yeah, I think so.
Elon Musk is mental, so Elon Musk.
All it is just he's mental. He's mentally crazy, so...
Just wouldn't care, would he?
Okay.
He'd just absolutely go for it. I think Zuckerberg would be a bit more refrained.
Okay.
If that should ever happen, which I doubt, but you never know, it'd be entertaining.
Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg?
Elon Musk.
Why?
Because my dad is in love with Elon Musk.
Okay.
I think I'm going to have to go with Zuckerberg. I mean, Threads just came out, so.
Who do you think would win?
Zuck.
Why do you think so?
He's not a real human. He's a robot.
So he'll use that to his advantage.
Yeah, and all the Krav Maga stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah. Who do you think would win in a fight, Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk?
Elon Musk.
Why do you think Elon Musk?
I think Elon's
He
smarter.
works with robots, so maybe he built a robot to fight for him.
But what if Mark Zuckerberg is a robot?
Oh, wow.
Then I might have to change my answer.
Who do you think is going to win?
Me.
Chad, coming up tomorrow, Kelly in Vegas is going to join us.
Yes.
She took exception to your college football, NFL list.
She also takes
An
exception to the
omission.
fact that I thought she was Megan making money. That's probably where this all stems from. But yeah, she didn't like my list because she, as a K-State grad, saw that her Wildcats were excluded from my Super 32 list, and she's not happy
Should
about
I
it.
introduce her tomorrow as Megan making money?
That'd be hilarious. I should actually do it again. Met a
Okay.
couple times. Megan making money joining the show. It's always a real treat to finally get her on the show. No, Kelly's great. She's going to bring the energy. I was texting with her about it because she had an issue with Kansas State not being on there. And I said, feel free. Look, this is an open forum. Come on and trash my group of schools. And she said, just the K-State part or the whole thing? And I said, whatever you want to trash, you can trash on this show. I'm not going to take exception to it. So we'll see what all she wants to go after tomorrow.
Hot Mike with Hutton
She's going to take
rolls
a
on.
flamethrower to me on tomorrow's show. That's what's going to happen.
Going to be fun. Coming up, Armando Salguero in about 40 minutes, plus Sean Merriman later in today's program. More than 1,000 former Northwestern athletes. They have sent an open letter to the university and out to anyone that'll read it, condemning hazing in any form, but also defending the athletics culture, saying it's not represented or defined by the allegations of hazing and the lawsuits that have then surfaced and have been filed, up to or more now than a dozen against the university. Quote here from the letter: "The allegations made are troubling, and we support the university's efforts to fully investigate these claims. However, these allegations do not represent or define the overall culture at Northwestern." Goes on to say, "We strongly affirm the positive experiences we had at Northwestern, and if offered, would do it all over again. The opportunity to compete at this level in both the classroom and in our respective sports is unique and deeply valued. These experiences were the building blocks for each of our lives after graduation. This is the Northwestern we proudly came to know and appreciate, and for which we are immensely grateful." And Chad, what this says is stating the obvious. This is also, it echoes our football guest who was in the locker room and came forward with his own experience of hazing. The former offensive lineman from 2005 or 6, I believe, is when he and defined the culture then to now and how it matched up. But he also said he loved his time at Northwestern and considers himself a lifelong Wildcat. And this also echoes that. And I think it's also, and I would be the same way, if you're passionate about your university and you're seeing these headlines and you didn't witness anything, or you did witness something that was wrong, but everything else about your experience was exactly how you wanted it to be and you would do it all over again, that's your university. That is, that is your team. That is your athletic program. And what's represented in the headlines right now don't reflect the positive experience they took away from their time there.
I have no doubt that most Northwestern student athletes had a positive experience, and they chose the school for a reason, and they got there, and they were happy they went, and they liked their time at Northwestern. even with the offensive lineman story that we had, who said he was being discriminated against because he's Latino, we had a Latino kicker that messaged me that said, I had the opposite experience. It was great. I experienced no hazing, no issues on the staff whatsoever. He said, I'm not discounting what his teammates said.
Right.
I'm just telling you my experience. This is the exact same thing with a bunch of student athletes. All they're saying is, hey, we take this stuff seriously. You know, what's going on at our school is not great, but here's the other side of it. It's not 100%. Nothing in life is really 100%. You're going to have people who think something was good and something was bad, especially now. So this is the other side saying, yeah, we weren't hazed. There wasn't some damaging culture within Northwestern athletics. In fact, it was the building blocks for everything we've done in life since, was attending that school and participating in athletics at the Big Ten level. So none of this surprises me. Now, look, it gets a big national headline for the day. What does it actually do? I guess it's submitted into evidence in their internal investigation and filed away. That's about it. I don't think it really does anything else. Well, it probably makes the people who signed it feel better.
Well, let's read into it a bit, though. It was 270-plus former football players, a handful of managers in that as well, and then over 1,000 athletes across the board. The other group here that are defending the program are the assistant coaches that are currently coaching Northwestern football, and the interim David Braun, who supports their freedom of speech to wear the shirts that have 51.
They're not just supporting Northwestern; they're supporting their former coach who got fired.
Their former coach who got
fired. Guess
who
has a problem with that?
Yeah, but got fired after University President Michael Schill cited a partially broken football team culture. Yeah. You know, and that specifically stated that. And here's the letter saying, no, in fact, we don't feel it's broken at all. I think, again, it's a view on how things have been portrayed PR-wise, too.
I don't think so, but have they worn those shirts since Derek Gregg had the statement about them not needing to wear the shirts? I don't think they have.
No, but they don't have to now, you know?
I guess.
They
Pat
did
Fitzgerald, speaking of the coach that we talked about, we know what he's going to be doing now. He will be coaching his two sons on the Loyola Academy high school football team this fall. This according to the North Shore Record, the local publication there. He has passed all of the different credentials he had to get to be a volunteer assistant high school coach, and he'll be assisting his two children that go to Loyola Academy, play for the Ramblers football program. He will be assisting them this fall.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's
you're
also,
not coaching. You have a chance to coach your kids in a season where you would never have the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's got a nice setup, a nice home in that neighborhood of Chicago. Doesn't want to leave. Doesn't know what his next move is yet. So, really cool that he gets to coach his son. Reminds me of the Sean Payton, story where he went and coached his son's Pop Warner youth team for a year when he was serving a suspension. Similar story for Pat Fitzgerald.
Chad, Bo Nix has a mural in New York to begin the Heisman Trophy campaign. If you start looking at, and now at Oregon, former Auburn quarterback, he did well last year.
He did great.
And as you begin to look at the odds for the Heisman Trophy as we kick off the season next week, Caleb Williams is by far the favorite, followed by Jaden Daniels, Quinn Ewers, Michael Penix Jr., Cade Klubnik. You've got J.J. McCarthy, Jordan Travis, Sam Hartman, and then Bo Nix is listed. So the campaign is on. And look, this can go deep. Drake May is there, Carson Beck. Marvin Harrison Jr. could have a breakout and should have a massive season because he's playing with his high school quarterback as well now. There could be plenty of discussion and debate over that group by the time we get to December, first Saturday in December.
I think if you want to take a long shot in those, I would take either Jalen Milroe or Ty Simpson, just simply because the Alabama quarterback, if they win the job and they start all year, will put up huge numbers and could be in the national conversation. The other one in there is J.J. McCarthy, is someone who has some value at where his odds are and what Michigan could be this year. Bo Nix was terrific last year. He was in the Heisman discussion for a lot of the season. So this has become kind of standard practice for schools to pay for the Times Square, the New York City mural, or the big digital video board of their guys. They start a Heisman campaign. So cool to see Bo Nix getting this opportunity. Bo Nix, by the way, who, if you're an Auburn fan, it's kind of hurt only because this guy was the son of a great, Auburn quarterback. It was like his homecoming when he got there. He started as a true freshman, looked really good when he came out of the gates. Then it crumbled under the previous coach, and now he's found second life at Oregon. Good for him. And now he's starting a Heisman campaign, but not for the school that Auburn Tigers fans hoped he'd be possibly winning a Heisman for.
Yeah, and just for get your take on this, dark horse candidate Joe Milton at plus 2,500.
That's a good one. Yeah, because the odds, I would say that's a really good one. I think we're going to find out this year with Joe Milton if you can just go ahead and pencil in the Tennessee starting quarterback as someone with odds for a Heisman Trophy. Like this is the floor year for Tennessee. I think this is the year that defines Josh Heupel's offensive floor, because he's going from a guy who was perfect that really he didn't know right away. He didn't start Hendon Hooker right away. He kind of lucked into Hendon Hooker with the Joe Milton injury. Turns out he's the perfect guy to run Josh Heupel's system. Now if he can go back to the guy who wasn't working out as well, and he looks a lot better, and he's putting up Hendon Hooker-esque numbers, and especially with the lack of interceptions, which Josh Heupel says Joe Milton has yet to throw one interception throughout scrimmages or throughout practice so far. Did not throw an interception in his short time as a starter a year ago. If that happens, or when he played a year ago, I mean, I think you could probably look at a Heupel quarterback and say, okay, whatever the odds are, I might go ahead and lay a little money down on this guy because he's going to put up video game numbers.
And let's just spitball here for a second. Quinn Ewers with the third best odds. If Quinn Ewers is in New York as a finalist, where does that put Texas win-wise?
I'd say 11.
I mean, that's a
10 or 11. They're starting out 11th in the AP.
Yeah.
So I'd say probably 11 wins. I also think Quinn Ewers are the third highest odds. This is not where he should be legitimately. This is the Texas hype train getting him that spot. And Vegas does it by where they think the money's going to go.
Right.
So they know people are laying money on him because of the interest in Texas. And I think this is more Texas being a bit overhyped than anything else. I don't buy it.
And Drake May's pretty far down the list after getting a lot of push at the end of last season to be a finalist.
You know what's crazy to me is that there hasn't been a repeat winner since Archie Griffin in the early 70s. With the guys we've seen win it early, Tim Tebow, Johnny Manziel, and Caleb Williams, I mean, I try to think about the psychology around that, why that hasn't happened. It's probably as much of when you win the Heisman as an underclassman, you set the bar so high that you can't just go over it a little bit. You have to crush that mark to even have a chance, because people are naturally, the psychology of it is you're looking for the next one and the next thing. So you have to be undeniably almost, it's not going to happen unanimous, but almost unanimous.
Yeah.
Like this guy, those numbers we're not going to see again.
Like the Manziel year.
He was twice as good as he was in his Heisman year. We have to give him the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
And if it's anywhere around it or even a little bit more or better than the year before, statistically, there's one more loss. If there's one other thing, there's always going to be a reason that you don't vote in the second Heisman Trophy winner. I just found that interesting. It's been so long since that's happened, because I know he's the favorite right now, but I mean, with Lincoln Riley calling plays and his receivers.
Oh, and his history of having Heisman winners, again, he's done it. But I'm saying,
I feel pretty good about
it. And
with him.
I mean, the next tier for them is a college football playoff. So
yeah,
that puts them on the run. The other thing,
and
Chad,
now the standard is his team's wins, not just his accomplishments.
And one more, J.J. McCarthy. You're right to mention this. J.J. McCarthy, based on the schedule, when they meet against Ohio State, that could be one that just puts him in New York or not, because we went through and detailed the Michigan schedule, and you don't have many games where you're like, man, they may slip up here. Maybe they do, but he is in a position to make the run for it at plus 1,600.
Yeah, they've got Penn State, I think, in like early November maybe. And then, I mean, that Ohio State game is going to be the marker for both teams, especially Ohio State having lost back-to-back.
Yeah, and then Marvin Harrison Jr. putting on a show. Chad, Bob Huggins has entered a diversion program, and
Court ordered, I believe.
yeah,
Right?
and I also think this is what he felt like the offer was going to be whenever he initially talked to the university, like, hey, I'm going to do this and come back or whatever. But he's attempting to get his life straightened out after the DUI arrest, and I hope everything goes well with this, based on the legal side of the situation. That's what he's working out now, and he certainly has another situation where he's battling West Virginia trying to get his job back. But this is an effort to do, I think, not just the right thing for him, but also whatever he felt like was agreed upon before they got rid of him.
Yeah, I wonder if he emerges somewhere else. My guess is no at his age, but crazier things have happened.
The tide has turned on the Michael Oher storyline. That's next on Hot Mic.
What you're experiencing is the bold taste of a Southern legend. Old Smoky Moonshine and Whiskey, authentic Tennessee mountain-style spirits. We believe in crafting flavors that were born from tradition but defy expectation, and pioneering a new experience with every sip. Because if it doesn't do this, it ain't this. Old Smoky Moonshine and Whiskey. Come on.
Welcome into Outkick the Show. I am Clay Travis, your fearless leader.
I am going to continue to argue that sports is one of the great unifying forces in all of American life.
ESPN is a sinking ship. Democrats are now the party of the white, woke college graduate.
We live in a land of participation trophies.
You gotta lean into the turns. You really gotta lean into the turns.
When Leah Thomas walked in that first day, it got silent, and every girl was uncomfortable.
Very difficult to go back-to-back years in the NFL with the #1 overall pick.
I just think the way Anthony Bass handled this was so sloppy.
Oh, I think it's perfect.
And what he reposted and how he did it.
He bent the knee and bowed. He was going to catch the ceremonial first pitch.
I've been out of LA long enough to have forgotten that libs, no matter how ridiculous the scenario, are gonna live. Another week of inflation, another week with Biden with COVID, and another set of losers to crown. People don't watch the WNBA on TV, in person, on a plane, on a train, on a bus, or on purpose.
The scary thing, Tommy, is in the history of this government, I've never seen them give anything back that they've taken.
Oh no, they never do.
And they won't.
When you're behind closed doors, when you're talking to plant managers, when you're having meetings, when you're with the team, was there an acknowledgement of any of this, an acknowledgement of the situation, the boycott, and then the doubling down about moving away from the fratty image?
We've seen coaches throw water bottles. We've seen coaches act like idiots. We've seen coaches slap other coaches. But I think if you're involved in carjacking, you're inherently a rotten human being. The level of stupid that sometimes gets on our YouTube chat just gives me a headache. You're born a male, play with males. You're born a female, play with females. Don't at me about it, people. I'm pissed off about this. I never did it before in my life, but Trump is being cheated. The American people are being cheated. We, ladies and gentlemen, are being cheated.
I believe this person is the greatest player anybody alive will ever see. How can you hate Derek Jeter? A guy's on-base percentage tells me his batting eye, and a guy's slugging percentage tells me if he's a threat. That's the kind of guy that throws a no-hitter, that effectively wild guy.
Old Smoky Moonshine and Whiskey, bold taste of a Southern legend.
Just like that, the second hour is here, the Thursday edition of Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow across the Outkick Network.
We're back, baby.
We
are back.
Getting you to the end of the workday. You can
We are
join us on multiple
rolling
platforms, streaming live and live across the great Outkick Radio Network. Coming up, Armando Salguero in 20 minutes. Sean Merriman will join us in about an hour from now. Chad, the show is flying by, and we've got plenty of headlines to hit. We've certainly got injury updates across the NFL and more. Football's around the corner. It's great.
It feels like we've reached the point of training camp already where it's just every NFL fan is just constantly crossing their fingers and their toes, hoping that a star player doesn't get injured.
Yeah.
That you don't see the report that such and such player was carted off the field today at joint practice. That's what everyone is hoping for right now. And what everyone's hoping for are regular season games to get here, which the good news, Hutton, is it's right around the corner. We're there. We're almost there. We almost made it.
We opened the show with our thoughts on the Tuohy family, saying, hey, let's end this madness. We'll just end the conservatorship with Michael Oher, which has been a storyline all week. And the storyline has flipped now from Michael Oher and going through the filings in a Shelby County, Tennessee court on Monday to now reading the reaction from Michael Lewis, who purchased the rights for the book, The Blind Side, and his comments recently, to Chad, even from the Tuohy family through attorneys on the financials and responding to the other allegations, and specifically when Oher found out about the conservatorship and when he didn't, which Bobby Barack dug up, was 2011. He was writing about it in 2011. So where do you come down on how this story has progressed in 72 hours in a 24-hour news cycle?
I think it's a great lesson, once again, about the news cycle. This is a lesson that I can hear out, and I think everyone should know. Don't ever get overly settled in on an opinion based on one news report and one side of the story. We can easily say this all the time, and we say, well, let's wait for another report. Let's wait for the other side to this and see what happens. But I'm guilty of this also, and we all are. If there's an accusation that's made, if there's something that's big in the news cycle that hits and everyone sees it, our first thought is immediately, man, that's crazy. And then it starts to construct our opinion about that group, that person, whoever it may be. In this case, it was the Tuohy family and our opinions of the movie The Blind Side or the book The Blind Side by Michael Lewis, if you read the book. These are all things that immediately people went to. It's all fake. It's not true. None of this really happened. The Tuohys are terrible people. And it's easy to fall into that trap based on one accusation. A key thing to remember when a story is reported or something comes out, is there another side to it? And when will the serve happen? When will the volley happen? When will the return serve happen? When are we going to hear from the attorneys from the other side? So then we start to get the information out. The Tuohys come out and say, they tried to shake us down for $15 million years ago. Sean Tuohy Jr. is saying he acknowledged in text messages in 2020 and 2021 he knew of the conservatorship. They're talking about the money not being what Michael Oher claimed it to be. And now you have Bobby Barack talking about in 2011 he knew of the conservatorship. Point being, after the initial accusation and the lawsuit filed, it's been one steady hit to Michael Oher's claims after another from the Tuohy family. So when something's reported, we got to wait. I got to wait. Everyone does.
Well, there could be another side now.
And now Michael Oher may come back to
with
it.
a document or something.
I can't completely settle into my opinion on the Tuohys being right and Oher being wrong. We're all going to have an opinion because of lived experiences or whatever it may be, or bias based on what you want to be true. And we have to acknowledge that and be honest about it. Everyone has that. When you hear a story, you automatically have a bias one way or the other because you want the story to be juicy, or you want this team or person to hurt, or you want this team or person or people to be protected and to not hurt. We have to acknowledge those inherent biases when we see a story, but also acknowledge something else is going to happen. More news will come out, and then the opinion may change. So don't settle into an opinion right away. This Michael Oher story and the back and forth now with the Tuohys and their attorneys and what he wrote in 2011 in a book, and is he really just doing this for publicity? All of it. I think it's a good lesson in this, Hutton.
Yeah, and And now we wait on the – you're right. It's pretty easy to figure out one way or the other what this comes down to and the finances there. The 2.5% that's been alleged that the Tuohy's signed off on, but Oher says he didn't get a dime from. Details are in the papers.
Well, even, just texting about this with buddies, the story comes out and everyone has a rooting interest. People want Oher to be right or they want the Tuohy's to be right away with the story.
Yeah.
But we got to hear both sides out if you want to or not. But no matter what, people are going to have that bias of which side they want to be correct in all of this. And I saw that with this story. This was a good illustration of what we see with a lot of stories, but I saw this as much with this one as any other story we've had recently.
Well, no one took the side of wanting Sandra Bullock to give back the Oscar.
That is good. Not a single person I know said that Sandy Bullock should give back the Oscar. I mean, I really think that we need to find these hidden Twitter accounts with nameless, faceless, different pictures on it, and they have a bunch of numbers, and just really interview these people that have an opinion that bad. That's who we need to talk to.
Injury roundup from across the NFL. Teron Armstead, star left tackle for the Miami Dolphins, and a big signing for them. He was carted off with a leg injury, but was then posting something about him walking around and saying that he's going to be back on track soon. Still unknown on the recovery time for Teron Armstead. They don't have great backup options in Miami. Kendall Lamb comes to mind. He came through here for a brief time with the Titans offensive line and was a backup in Cleveland. Technically, on the depth chart, he's the backup at left tackle. They have other options too, but Teron Armstead is one of the best left tackles in football, and they need him as they've been loading up and putting everything behind Tua Tagovailoa. More details there after he was carted off, but seen walking elsewhere on social. Hassan Reddick, thumb surgery, and he's correcting an issue there. He should be ready for week 1 for the Philadelphia Eagles after having a great season a year ago. Jamison Williams, star wideout at Alabama, now one of the top picks last year for the Detroit Lions. He was injured last year. He's, of course, suspended for the first 6 games this year based on the NFL gambling policy. He has a hamstring issue, and those soft tissue problems, especially at that position, can linger. He's out for a couple of weeks. And Ashton Dulin, torn ACL, backup wide receiver in Indianapolis. Starting wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans, Treylon Burks. Chad, there is some good news, a silver lining, best possible case for Treylon Burks. An LCL sprain, not the ACL, an LCL sprain. Timetable officially from the Titans and head coach Mike Vrabel is they don't have one at this point, but Pro Football Doc, Dr. David Chow, he said it's a 2 to 6 week time frame. My guess is it's closer to 6 than it is 2, and that would put him far past the season opener for the Titans against the New Orleans Saints coming up on September 10th.
This is great news for the Titans because it looked bad yesterday with the video and him being carted off and all of that, and he is going to be such a key part of what is a tenuous passing game situation for the Titans. Even with DeAndre Hopkins, it's one to watch just how effective it's going to be. But Treylon Burks, whatever projection you're going to have for the Titans offense, was going to be a big part of it, with or without DeAndre Hopkins. So good to know that he's going to be back relatively soon.
Yeah, they have to have Burks and Hopkins. Their offense looks awful when they're not on the field. Passing game, we saw what happened last year. It's not much better if they lose one of those guys. We won't even mention losing both there. Quote from Vrabel, no, I don't think it'll be a long-term injury. There is no ligament tears. It's the best-case scenario. There's relief. We will rehab him, and when he's completely healthy, we expect him to be back with us. Again, Dr. David Chow and Pro Football Doc saying around 6 weeks for the LCL sprain. Great rivalry budding in the division of the NFC North. Jair Alexander, star corner for the Packers, loves jawing with star wide receiver and the best wide receiver right now, Justin Jefferson of the Minnesota Vikings. Jefferson recently responded to Jair Alexander at the end of last year dancing on what was a great performance against a wide receiver going for 2,000 yards.
You and Justin Jefferson, you did the grittying. Right after a play, you knocked down a ball. Talk about that a little.
He thought he was going to come in there grittying, but I was the one grittying.
And nobody's really worried about him. It just goes to show you the amount of attention that he was trying to give me. You can't call it a 180-yarder a fluke. That's something that's not a fluke. You can't just walk up on 180 yards in the NFL.
Back and forth, great performance, and then not a great performance. Great performance by Jair Alexander, backing up the talk. But this is must watch, and we get this twice a year now.
Has there ever been a receiver that tried to start a feud with a corner? I feel like it's always the other way around. It's the corner trying to provoke the receiver into a feud. It wasn't
Cortland Finnegan and Andre Johnson.
It wasn't Justin Jefferson that was trying to do the gritty, right, to start some long-going feud with Jair Alexander. It's always the other way around. And that's kind of the nature of the business. It is the corner's job to provoke. It is the receiver's job to get open and to torch the corner. But I like Justin Jefferson's response saying, he's trying to get at me. So it wasn't the other way around. He's doing things to bring attention to me because I'm the star.
We don't get Vikings-Packers until October 29th. So we have to wait until around Halloween, and then they play again on New Year's Eve towards the end of the year.
Jordan Love has apparently looked pretty good.
That's what they're saying, yeah. What if he's great?
If it's another Aaron Rodgers situation?
Yes. Aaron Rodgers backs up Favre, then follows Favre's career to the New York Jets, and then here's Jordan Love as the contract's about to, I know they got a one-year extension to what he did, but the contract's about to expire. And he ends up being great.
Well, good for him if so.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it would contradict every report and rumor we've heard from the Packers and people that cover the team. Because I could still remember it well. Every bit of coverage about the Packers under Favre with Aaron Rodgers, the backup, was Aaron Rodgers looks like the first overall pick that slid to them in the 20s of that draft. He looked great from the start, and it was all about we got to get to Aaron Rodgers sooner rather than later. Cannot let him sit forever, right? That was not the same thought with Jordan Love.
Not the same. But what
it was more of, can we apologize enough to Aaron Rodgers to make him like us again so he'll give us another 1 or 2 seasons?
But what the difference, though, is Aaron Rodgers went back-to-back MVPs while they were trying to turn things over. You couldn't just throw in the towel on him he's still playing in his prime. And they were trying to go for it.
Yeah, I think Brett Favre wasn't back-to-back MVPs, but was still playing well. But even if he was putting up MVP years, you would still get more of, that's great, but this guy's young and he's doing great as well. So they're going to be just fine when they move on and go to him. I didn't hear a lot of that. It was more about, hands and knees begging for Aaron Rodgers to make nice with them so he could keep playing quarterback.
They paid up. Chad, does it make you feel old knowing that we're going to watch head-to-head Jerry Rice's son go up against Deion Sanders' son in September as USC will face off against Colorado?
It honestly surprised me that Jerry Rice's kids aren't older. My first response was, man, it feels like Jerry Rice should have kids in their 30s, not in college. Yeah. But I'm now trying to project the age. Yeah. So he had a kid in his 40s,
I guess.
So that's not too old, for a guy to have kids.
He's no Al Pacino.
No, he's not Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, that's for sure. But, my immediate thought was, I feel like Jerry Rice's kids should all be through college by now, was my first thought. But that's great. I went back and watched the highlight video of the seniors going head-to-head.
Yeah.
Deion and Jerry, and their 3 games head-to-head. Man, I love the NFL now, but I'm watching that, I'm thinking,
it's different.
This brought me back to everything when you're a kid is different, and it's just more glorious because your childhood. But I'm thinking that Falcons 49ers matchup that I saw, this would be like my Sunday afternoon after church noon kickoff on Fox. Watching these two go head to head as a kid and being a 49ers fan as a kid. It was awesome.
Well, and we see things in baseball every day no one's seen before.
Yeah.
But even in the NFL, there are plenty of players that hold up era to era. We spoke with one of them yesterday, with Anthony Munoz. And when you watch the highlight clips of Deion at corner You know, there are a lot of corners now, and the rules, by the way, have changed quite a bit. But Deion he wasn't known for his tackling.
No.
You know, he's not trying to be the physical corner
He
that
would
got
have
away with
probably
things.
been better
But
today, even.
the quick twitch and the hips,
Yeah,
and
he's
then
great in any era.
the interceptions, like you just don't see that at that level. And then Jerry Rice, even for the Mount Rushmores of everyone we're hearing from at wide receiver or different positions, Jamar Chase has Jerry Rice listed number one. Even the young guys that never watched him play, maybe they did. They don't remember Jerry Rice playing.
Jerry Rice, Deion Sanders absolutely would cut through any era of football and be great. Jerry Rice the same way. With his route running, his ability, but his work ethic, he would have been great.
It's like the dumb debate that Larry Bird couldn't dominate in the NBA right now. You know, that's so stupid. Like even the legend, like Magic Johnson's reaction to that is, he would name his performance. He could tell you how many points he was going to put up in today's game.
I think Jokic is an example that
A great
Larry
example.
Bird would be just fine today.
Yeah.
Jokic has no speed, no quickness. I mean, he's 3 inches taller than
And-
Larry Bird. That's about the difference.
And the way
right?
they would shoot the basketball is unblockable.
Yeah.
You can defend, but you can't over the head shot that they've got.
I mean, there's
money.
There's a 3-inch difference between those two guys, and Larry Bird's a better ball handler and passer.
How many players
I don't
today
know.
could
Jokic
say
is pretty great at both too.
How many players today could say, I'm going to play the entire game left-handed and post 30 plus?
Not many.
Armando Salguero could write left-handed and win awards. He joins us
He just
next. We
chooses
talk
not to.
NFL.
Do you feel as if, well, I'm pretty certain I know your answer because I know how I felt in college. I had to take, my major was actually chemistry at first as well. And I had to take a lot of ethics courses and different, I actually took a gender study course as well. And I felt like I had to tailor my papers a certain way to get a good grade. And what I'm noticing is across the country, that's the consensus. Even in the South, like where I went, University of Kentucky, we felt this way. And so I entirely agree with you that this is, it's happening all over. About the backlash, how I mentioned, she came out and essentially used the argument of your argument was based in white supremacy. Have you gotten a lot of backlash, or do you just kind of get the name calling, such as being called a racist for saying freedom of speech should exist?
Isn't that crazy to be called a racist? Calling out being suppressed in school. It's so weird to see where people's heads are at. But yeah, there has been a lot of backlash, a lot of name calling, obviously. And the death threats or I'm gonna show up at your house. I'm like, okay, please do.
Yeah.
Like it's just a lot of that. And like I haven't had a ton of questioning of what I'm saying because they actually have no objection to what I'm saying. They're just like, you're transphobic. And I'm like, okay, but you have no real argument. That says a lot more about you than me. And it says that my argument is real and I actually am saying the truth and you can't even argue against that. So you're just going to call me a name.
And I love that you can acknowledge that, because this cancel culture that we live in, they want you to think you'll be canceled. They want you to be scared of the name calling, but that really is all it is. And it speaks more to their insecurities than it does to yours. I saw people on TikTok, Olivia. I saw people coming for your eyebrows. Is that what they're going to resort to? And you're right. It's because they can't dissuade from your argument, which is actually really powerful. And it should boost your confidence. I think when people can look at a situation and take the negative, such as the backlash you're getting, which does suck. There's no taking away from that. It's not fun. It's not enjoyable. It does take a toll on you. But if you can take that backlash you're getting and ultimately use it to fuel your argument, I wish more people had that same perspective that you have. But what about the positive? Have you received a lot of good feedback? Have you had a lot of doors being open for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the opportunities that I have had are just absolutely incredible. And the support from people like you and all these other speakers who've spoken up about, men in their sports. And the ones that really stick out to me are actually the parents of young girls who are messaging me and saying, I have 2 daughters who are running cross country just like you did. Thank you so much for protecting them. Thank you so much for sticking up for them in their futures. And I'm like, That's why I'm doing this. Like, it's
Oh
not
my
really
gosh.
for me. It's for all of these other girls, and not even just girls, but for college students, for young men, like all of these people. I want to help them. I mean, America was built on freedom of speech. That's why we are what we are. And colleges are now trying to take that away. And like we said earlier, it's going down a bad path.
You know, Olivia, you sound like you're filled with hate. You sound just super hateful. No, how could anyone listen to your argument and say that that's hateful? I mean, I hear the compassion coming from your voice, advocating for what you're advocating for. It really is for everyone, all ages, all sexual orientations, even all gender identities. That's who you're advocating for, to be able to speak freely.
Sixth and Peabody, our location with Yeehaw Beer and Old Smoky Moonshine. Glad you're with us. Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow rolls on across the Outkick Network each and every Thursday at this time. Pleased to be joined by Armando Salguero, senior NFL writer for Outkick.com. Armando, good to see you.
It's good to see you two guys. My favorite two guys every Thursday at 4:20. There is no number two.
Look at the three musketeers right here. This is a trio. This is not a duo. This is a trifecta of great dudes right here on screen right now. I love it.
Armando, looking across the league, we're starting to see injuries take effect on some of these starting rosters. That's the big headline this time of year, isn't it? Just the war of attrition and trying to get guys ready for September 10th instead of trying to make sure that they're getting reps during training camp. It is a tough balance for coaches.
Well, there's no doubt about it. The Ravens are, juggling cornerbacks right now because Marlon Humphreys is hurt, and the Jets' offensive line is a mess because Dwayne Brown still hasn't practiced, and they've got Mekhi Becton, who has no confidence about his injury, and they're trying to build that. Teron Armstead in Miami left the field today on a cart. He's going to be supposedly fine, but, he's got a history of being injured. Will Levis in Tennessee left practice today, and now they don't know if he's going to be able to play this weekend. So, I believe it is a contact sport, and the bodies wear down. There's no doubt about it.
Wearing down before the build up for the regular season. When Dalvin Cook was talking with the Dolphins, how surprised are you that he's not a Miami Dolphin and he ends up with the Jets?
It's not surprising because he went with the team that offered more money. So I understand the genesis of your question because obviously Dalvin Cook went to Miami Central High School, was born in Miami, lives in Miami, and grew up, rooting for the Miami Dolphins. But Dalvin Cook is a business guy as well. And, U.S. dollars beats Miami sunshine. What can I tell you? All I would say about the Dalvin Cook signing with the New York Jets is it's good for him because he doesn't have to carry the load in New York, assuming that Breece Hall is going to be okay. Breece Hall looks like he's fine. I would say that Breece Hall is going to take a while and take a minute before he's the same player that he was the carry before he blew out his injury last year. And in the meantime, Dalvin Cook can step into the breach, but he doesn't have to carry the entire load.
Yeah, and I know you agree with the sentiment of Chad and I. He has a lot left in the tank. It's not like maybe the feel of Ezekiel Elliott towards the end of a career. Cook can come in, and it's not just – he can be the primary ball carrier if needed, But he doesn't have to be, and it's just another luxury signing for the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, look, last year, if you looked at what Dalvin Cook did, I watched him against the Buffalo Bills, and he had an 88-yard run for a touchdown. I watched him against the Miami Dolphins, and he had like a 52, 54-yard run for a touchdown. The Jets play the Dolphins and the Bills twice this year, as they are wont to do because they are division rivals. And so based on that history, you know that he can do it against the teams that obviously are vying for a playoff spot and a division championship, just like the Jets are. That alone tells you, let me see, dynamic and productive and against rivals. Check, check, check. Those are good things for the New York Jets. But again, and I have to caution everyone, and my wife is tired of me cautioning her because I talk to her about it all the time. The Jets' offensive line is problematic right now. It's very problematic. I'm not a believer in that line. I believe that someone at Outkick this week said that the Jets are trying to win a Super Bowl with a toilet bowl offensive line.
Who would that be? I wonder.
A very awarded and
lots of accolades. Whoever wrote that,
Yes.
whoever had that
Armando
line has
Salguero
lots of
with us.
accolades. No doubt about it. And I don't want to take too much away from watching Hard Knocks, but if the Jet season is derailed, Armando, watching this week, and you brought up the offensive line, watching Aaron Rodgers have to tell the center repeatedly not to spin the ball when he snaps it to him, and tell him how he likes the ball dead in his hands, flat in his hands on the snap, jamming his finger on another under center snap, and then him yelling with the microphone on, "Are we going to block anyone in the middle?" during the practice against the Panthers. I'm going to keep going back to those moments and thinking, okay, this is where the facade of everything is great Aaron Rodgers started to get stripped away, and he started to realize, we might have a problem here. I'm sure you probably watched the latest episode, but it goes right back to what you're saying about that being the problem spot on this roster. How quickly does it become a problem spot with Aaron Rodgers and his attitude towards that group if things continue to not get any better?
If you listen to Aaron Rodgers on Hard Knocks, it's become a problem already. If you listen to Aaron Rodgers at his press conference yesterday, where, unvarnished Aaron Rodgers did not show up, but rather very varnished Aaron Rodgers showed up, it's not a problem at all. They're going to be fine. Everything's going to be okay. And he did say yesterday that he wants a starting offensive line sooner rather than later. They don't have that. He needs them to have a certain amount of chemistry. And he believes, by his estimation, that takes at least a week to get. I got news for Aaron Rodgers. That doesn't take a week to get. That often takes an entire season to come by. And so if he's expecting those, different guys who haven't always and often played together to have cohesion and chemistry after one, if they practice together 1 week before the start of the regular season, Aaron Rodgers hasn't been paying attention to offensive line work the last, 17 years of his career, or he's outright lying. Which one of those is more likely? I wonder.
Lucky for Aaron Rodgers, he didn't have to play behind that offensive line against Carolina. Unlucky for Bryce Young, he did have to play behind his offensive line for the Panthers, and he was getting hit on every drop back against the Jets. Armando, what do you make of the whole idea of you can't damage the confidence of the rookie quarterback? That this came back with Anthony Richardson being named the starter in Indianapolis. Don't put him out there with this team and ruin the kid's confidence when he needs work and needs development. When you look at all the rookie quarterbacks, what's your response when you hear that?
My response is all rookie quarterbacks are not the same, just like all people are not the same. I don't like to make statements that covers the entirety of a population of people, including quarterbacks. There are some rookie quarterbacks that if you throw them out there, even though they are not ready, they will fight through, they will improve, they will get better. There are some rookie quarterbacks that if you throw them out there when they're not ready, they will soil their pants and it will never be the same and you will ruin them. And so that's why it's up to coaches and front offices to know the difference and to know which one of those is in your huddle, because not all of them are the same. I would say Anthony Richardson is one of those guys in the Indianapolis rookie quarterback who is going to be the starter in week 1 and has already been named such. He is one of those guys that can fight through and needs to play and wants to play, and everybody understands that it's going to be rough on and off, mostly on. And I think that he can overcome and not completely melt down and not completely lose his confidence, and you don't lose him for a career. There are other guys that I have questions about. I'm not sure about CJ Stroud. I thought that it was terrible that rookie head coach DeMeco Ryans and his rookie offensive coordinator put CJ Stroud out there against Carolina last week with the starters, except the offensive line starters weren't in there. 3 of the starters didn't play. And I talked to an NFL, coach this week, and I said, am I wrong? I mean, is it okay to do what the Houston Texans did? And what he said was inexperience. And that is DeMeco Ryans, a defensive-minded coach, throwing a quarterback out there, and his rookie offensive coordinator didn't speak up and say, we can't put our future face of the franchise on the field if we also don't put our best blockers for him on the field. And so what happened in the game? CJ Stroud took a few hits. In fact, every other play, basically. It was not, I don't know how he grew from that.
Armando, just among the rookie conversation here, the one, it's not a silver lining, but with 3 of the 4, I can at least say I know they're going to have a run game that the rookie can lean on, even if Levis had to play in Tennessee. Miles Sanders in Carolina. We know the Texans can run the football with who they have as dual threats. And then there's Indy. What is Jonathan Taylor just going to get healthy and play? Is that the expectation?
I could tell you that I know, but I'd be lying to you, because it's not just is he going to get healthy and play. It's is he going to be healthy and want to play.
Right, yeah.
And look, there's a way for Jonathan Taylor to not be 100%, but be 100% bought in. And there's a way for Jonathan Taylor to be 100%, but not be bought in at all. And right now he's neither, because he's not happy with the way his contract situation has been handled. He's taken it personally, and I can't tell you that, their regular season opener, he's going to be there and going to be ready to go. I don't know.
Are you hearing much on Jacksonville? And they're returning practically everybody. They've got a nice young core, but also a quarterback that's supposed to take a grand step with Peterson in year 2. In the final minute here, what have you heard about their camp and the buzz surrounding where they should be in December?
That's going to be a good team. And
it should be.
And yeah, and Calvin Ridley is going to, just be a monster. I really do think that what they had last year was good, but they lacked a certain amount of what's the word? Dynamism. They lacked a dynamic player on the outside. I mean, they had playmakers, but they didn't have people that could go 80 yards. Calvin Ridley is that guy. And he's got fresh legs. He didn't play last
That's
year.
right.
He's got fresh legs.
Hopefully not an app.
And I hope he deleted that one from his iPhone or whatever. And he's got something to prove, which is a bad combination for who? For the other teams in the division, because Trevor Lawrence is going to be okay. He's gotten it. Those interceptions in the playoffs notwithstanding.
Loving all the work at Outkick.com, Armando, as usual, and love to catch you up each and every Thursday around the league. We appreciate you.
I appreciate you, man. See ya.
There he is, Armando Salguero, all things National Football League. If you
always brings it.
Chad, if you just look at their depth chart in Jacksonville, I mean, they should be a pretty good team depth-wise based on all the draft picks they've had and how high they draft in every round. If Trevor Lawrence takes that next climb, hits that next shelf, they win this division easily. And and that's if they continue that progression based on the way they finished last season.
Years and years of being bad and drafting very high has finally paid off.
Easily, I'm saying like 2 games or something. Like, again, it should not come down to the final game if Jacksonville ends up being the surprise team that's under the radar right now a bit because of the division and because of how stacked the AFC is. Not Super Bowl, but they're playoff worthy, and I don't think we talk about them enough. Ja Morant, he's been talked about quite a bit, but details next on the playing card.
Davey Hudson of Outkick here. We are at SEC Media Days 2023 in Nashville, Tennessee. We're going to go talk to some players, see what they have to say. What's the best purchase you've made from an NIL deal so far?
Tag watch right here.
Far.
Best purchase? I probably just give it back to my son for real. That's probably my best purchase every time.
Man, pay my truck off. Definitely.
A house. My wife and I bought a house, so that's been huge. Being able to save that money up and buy a house.
This chain here.
The best purchase? I'd probably say helping my mom out with school.
Ooh, the best purchase? Probably the shoes. The shoes I got on right now.
The best purchase I made, well, the best NIL deal I've had is free steaks from Marksbury Farms, so keep me fed and beefed up.
With it?
Purchase? Probably a new golf bag. Or recently I played TPC Sawgrass this past weekend, and that was from I used that money from a deal I made, so that's up there too.
Probably getting my sister through college, helping my family out a lot. That's probably my best purchase I've done.
Best purchase? Probably my my mom and dad anniversary gift.
The best purchase I've made. I got a yoga mat the other day, and that's helped me a lot. Just flexibility and everything like that. So probably that.
Best purchase? My smile. Best purchase? I would say my best purchase was having my school supply drive.
Landon, what is your favorite sports movie of all time?
Remember the Titans for sure. Sport movie, I say Love and Basketball. That's my favorite.
Got to be Remember the Titans for sure.
Remember the Titans. I mean, it's top movie ever.
Probably Longest Yard.
I'd probably say Like Mike with Bow Wow.
Yeah.
My favorite sports movie, Remember the Titans.
Air Bud.
Perfect answer, actually.
I really don't know. I don't have one.
Movie? I haven't seen many, but does Sandlot count?
Favorite sports movie of all time? Probably Coach Carter.
Ooh, sports movie. Probably The Express.
Happy Gilmore.
The Little Giants.
Amari, what was your most favorite sports movie growing up?
Remember the Titans.
Barbie or Oppenheimer? Which one are you and the boys seeing first?
I don't know the other one, but definitely not Barbie.
Oppenheimer, gotta be. I'm not against the Barbie movie though. I tried to recommend it. I was shut down pretty fast.
Oppenheimer. Come on now. You don't need to ask me that question. Oppenheimer looks good though.
What's Oppenheimer?
It's a movie about the atomic bomb. It's the big thing that comes out this Thursday.
Yeah, probably that.
Oppenheimer.
Wait, what was the other one?
Barbie or Oppenheimer?
The opposite of Barbie. The opposite of Barbie. Yeah, so I'm not.
We're gonna see Oppenheimer and then follow with Barbie.
Solid choice.
I don't even know what Oppenheimer is. I don't want to see Barbie though.
Oppenheimer, 100%.
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer.
Say a little bit louder.
Oppenheimer.
Oh, we're gonna watch both of them. Maybe on the same night, but we'll probably watch. I think you gotta watch Barbie first, just so you're not. Oppenheimer might be a little too intense. You know what I'm saying? So you warm up with Barbie and then you go to the Oppenheimer.
The second one. Oppenheimer.
Barbie or Oppenheimer? Which one are you and the boys seeing first?
Barbie.
Sixth and Peabody, our location, with Yeehaw Beer and Old Smoky Moonshine. Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow rolls on. Chad, what?
It's always nice out here on a Thursday at Sixth and Peabody. Yeah. Nice atmosphere.
Business is picking up.
Brooke on our staff went out there and comes back with chips and queso.
Oh.
And I asked why, and she said, I don't want to wait on anything. And then I was ready to crush her for her order, and I thought, that's actually pretty damn smart if you don't want to come back and have to wait on them to bring you anything. And also very nice of her to not have the staff bring it back here to the studio. So she got chips and queso.
You're upset that she didn't bring any back for you?
Well, now I want chips and queso also. The two things happened here.
Chad will have queso and chips in 20 minutes.
I was rationed a crumble cookie last night. I don't know the serving size. This guy didn't want to do the math on it
to
know
that
what
go?
the whole cookie was. I didn't really get to experience the crumble cookie because I got home. Some of the cookies were already eaten. Then I had to take my oldest daughter to go coach her in softball practice, and everyone else wanted to have the cookie early. I wanted the cookie after practice.
Yeah, Lucy deserved it. It was her fourth
I was
birthday.
rationed one cookie. Had there been more cookie available, I
Was
would
it
have
the
eaten
worst
more
flavored cookie, or was it the one
Oh,
you
no,
wanted?
it was a Twix flavored cookie.
that's
that
good.
was unbelievably
Well,
good.
there's no worst, right?
Yeah, I mean, I had to have like an entire glass of milk with this thing to enjoy it. It's that rich.
Davey wouldn't.
It has that much sugar. Davey wouldn't eat for 2 weeks. He'd go fast for 2 weeks. I'd even just thought about the image of milk.
Yes,
crossed his mind. But it was good.
Chad, what was?
Now I want chips and queso. Thanks, Brooke.
What was the era of the trading cards for you?
So the era of the trading cards.
Mine was
for
like
me,
sixth and seventh grade primarily.
Younger than that for me. I'd say starting in like first or second grade. I got big into the baseball cards. Every time I went to the store with my Nana, my grandmother, who I was around a lot as a kid, I would ask to pick out a pack of baseball cards. And Nana would always say yes. So I'd get the baseball cards, and then I'd arrange them. I remember I started arranging them by team, and then I'd go by league. And I had different ways of trying to arrange them in those. I love the feeling of the card book. You know, as you turn the plastic sheets of paper through, and you're going, the smell of it, the whole
Would you
thing
trade
was
them?
awesome.
I was big on trading.
I
them.
got just gypped in trades by my older brother, who was 7 years older, who was much better at collecting baseball cards than I was. So I think I made 2 really bad trades and stopped. It's like when Bill Belichick wants to do a trade, and everybody gets real. Why is he doing this? That type of thing.
I think I've told you, Mike. I'm not. I don't want to come across as complaining about a Christmas gift, but I remember so bummed.
But complain about it, please.
So
Go
bummed
ahead.
back in the day. This is probably 95. I don't know, 95, 96, and one of my great aunts. At the big Christmas on my mom's side of the family, everyone would you would like draw a name, right? Instead of giving everyone a gift. And my name was drawn. And
we still do that every year, by the way, with the cousins, extended family.
We do as well. The family has dwindled a bit, unfortunately, but the immediate family, I'm saying, we still do the gifts. But I open up these trading cards. It's like 94, 95, something like that. And it's a box of trading cards from like 1983.
which probably was expensive.
No.
No? Was it like an off-brand? It wasn't Don Russ?
This
It
is
wasn't
like from a
Topps?
flea market.
The Upper Deck wasn't around. 89 was Upper Deck's first year, I know, because of the King Griffey Jr. rookie card. That's in that first issue of Upper Deck. This was like an off-brand Chinese knockoff.
Yeah, it was almost like a cereal box brand.
Set. They called them a set.
Yeah, it came
Each
with
had the set.
a real crunchy piece of chewing gum.
Oh yeah, but the chewing gum. I mean, you had to break the thing
And
up
this
into
was
8
like
pieces
this
to
was
try
like
to
the
consume it.
the log box one. Not
yeah.
the.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
So speaking of log boxes, I think my best construction project as a child was I lived on, to kind of give you the mental image of where I lived. I lived on my grandparents' land, and me and my parents lived like in a house on their land, kind of a guest house situation. And my grandparents were next door. Nana, who I told you, would always buy me
The mansion.
The
guest home.
R.I.P. Nana would always buy me the baseball cards, never asked. And then we had land next to us that my grandfather gave to my sister when she got married. So they built on that land when I was probably 9 or 10.
Yeah.
I would say they built a house on that land. So I would go down to the construction of that land. And I said, you know what? My grandfather's handy. I can learn how to do something. I'm going to build a box out of just found materials around the house. And I mean, it was the simplest project
It's like
ever.
you're dating Shailene Woodley.
Yes. I'm basically Aaron
Found
Rodgers at
materials.
this point. I was big into ayahuasca at the time, too, as a 10-year-old. I had a darkness retreat before it was cool. I just put a box over my head and then didn't have light on for a while. It's amazing. I was very zen as a small child. But no, I go down there, and I remember, I could probably still find it, but it was just like pieces of plywood. And then I found them where they had cut them off, to measure them out in like 4 or 5 equal things. And I nailed a box together, and I put baseball cards in them.
Oh, that was
and
your filing.
But I remember thinking, like, this is the most ambitious thing that any child has ever done. I should get some sort of award, a woodworking award, but also just I should be in Model UN. I should be in everything. And I took it to my grandfather.
Signed up for a Pinewood Derby shortly after.
My grandfather, who this man made bunk beds for me when I went to college. Steel bunk beds. All right. He could make anything. He built both houses that I was around my entire life. Just himself. He would hire like one guy to help him
showed him this
occasionally.
box.
I showed him this box, and he looks at it and says, you're going to get a lot of splinters on your hands if you carry that thing around. Like, he wanted me to finish the wood.
Be careful with those
It was
nails.
like wood where you picked it up and you're getting splinters on it because it wasn't shaved down.
Your head just sinks.
At all. And yeah, I'm just thinking. But
Gee, thanks.
I kept the box. I put a lot of baseball
We should put it in the
cards
background
there.
here.
It's
The box.
I bet my parents have it somewhere. It's basically what I just put all the discarded baseball cards I didn't want in. So everything I didn't care about, if I didn't
Your
care
parents
enough about
definitely
it,
have it then.
to put it protected in the plastic sheet in the card book, I would put it in this box that gave everybody splinters if they picked it up.
Chad, if you're maybe some of our viewers, listeners have kids or they collect trading cards now, the Ja Morant rookie card.
There was a point to all of our baseball cards.
Yeah, the Ja
I thought
Morant
we were just
rookie
riffing on
card.
baseball cards.
It has skyrocketed. Now, when I say skyrocketed, based on what we were able to look at, the Ja Morant rookie card in this particular one was going for about $35 online. It's now going for like $200 to $230, but it did it overnight. And here's why. In the background of the Ja Morant rookie card, the Tuohys, Sean and Leanne Tuohy, are sitting on the baseline. And then on the other side of Morant are 2 rappers, R.I.P., both Key Glock and Young Dolph are also in attendance. But you have the Tuohys sitting next to rappers at the game.
2 now deceased rappers.
Yes, but sitting next to the Tuohys, of course, in the headlines this week, and Ja Morant's rookie card there. A very random photo where, I mean, he's just, he's flexing after a play in the old school Grizzlies uniforms down in Memphis.
That's great. I thought it was just because John Morant, they're speculating he may not play again or something because of all the issues that he's had. So now his rookie card goes up in value. Maybe it's a little bit of both, but that is definitely a collector's item.
Yeah. So I guess so would be the Mark Jackson rookie card because the Menendez brothers are also in the background of this one. People that are surveying the crowd.
Awesome.
The Menendez brothers are in the background of Mark Jackson's original rookie card. NBA Hoops. I haven't seen that in a long time. The brand.
I remember looking at the Hoops logo. I remember that. I don't remember.
See the far left?
Wasn't this more than a basketball card brand? I feel like it was like a crossover. Did a bunch of different
like
things.
a magazine or something?
I do see the Menendez brothers on the far left. That's awesome. Now I want people to be private investigators and go and look at every card ever and see if there's any famous person in the background.
It makes me want to go through it. I don't know where my old cards are. I don't know if they still exist, but go through and look at that instead of. But not many have the clarity of this. A lot of times it's just middle of the court doing something, right?
Yeah.
A pass, a shot, a dunk.
Well, Super 70 Sports, great Twitter follow.
Yes.
It was hilarious.
Yes.
They go through old baseball cards all the time, and they'll post and they'll put a description of the player that's shown. I mean, some of these guys playing Major League Baseball in the 70s and 80s, just hilarious. The style, the lack of any type of athletic shape that they're in when they're playing. They look like they're playing in a beer league, church softball league type deal. It's amazing seeing some of these guys. One of the best Twitter follows out there.
Definitely smokers.
Definitely smokers, drinkers, like in the dugout drinkers, not just casually after the game. Drinking before, after the game. Yeah. Definite alphas. How about the video I sent you of Aaron Rodgers during Hard Knocks? That is on Hard Knocks. You need to watch that part. It is amazing. Incredible.
Jed,
happy birthday to the girl that's
happy birthday.
For the happy birthday.
Yeah. Here at 6th and Peabody. Demanding the birthday
shout
shout
out. A day over 15.
Yeah.
I don't know how she's in here.
One of the Woo girls, for sure.
No clue how she's in here.
About to hop on a party bus here in downtown. Gronkowski may be on a party bus. Currently out of the league. He joined Up and Adams with Kay Adams and was asked a very good question that he actually gave some thought to. Who is the one coach that could bring Rob Gronkowski out of retirement?
Brian Daboll wants me on his roster.
Don't do Gronk, we can't. Gronk, we can't.
He won't have that face if I was on the team with him.
Gronk, we can't keep doing this.
I know, but I love to do it.
Where's the window? Is it?
I love to do it, though.
Is it like open?
I love to pretend that I can still play. Just makes me feel
you
good.
You definitely could still play.
No, I can't. I'm washed up.
Who's the coach that
I just like to pretend.
Who's the coach that has the best chance to get you out of retirement?
Brian Daboll.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Not Sean McDermott? Interesting.
Oh, my hometown team.
Your favorite team.
But Brian Daboll.
Brian Daboll could get you out. What would he say if you called him?
I mean, he can't.
What would he have to say to you?
He can't get me out of retirement, but he would have the best chance to get me out of retirement.
I mean, it could be you and Waller. Can you imagine that?
That would be pretty wild. I always believe that having two tight ends is the best. It makes the defense have the most difficult times. If you have two tight ends, I think that can make an offense unstoppable. And it's rare. I mean, if you go back to my days when I had another tight end with me, I mean, it just makes the offense just prolific.
He's talking about Aaron Hernandez there, back in his days with another tight end, right?
Yeah. Prolific is one way to describe Aaron Hernandez, that's for sure. How about Gronk going successfully from interview voice to like sweet, sexy whisper back to interview voice in the same answer to a question? That was what was impressive. He got very sultry in the middle of it. No, I don't know. I have to go there. I have to, Kay. I have to go there. And then back to, but when I had another tight end, that was something that was.
Go back to the dual threat.
He's a man of many talents.
But he starts it by saying Brian Daboll wants me on his roster. Darren Waller's there, of course. That would be quite tandem.
Can he play still?
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
Yeah.
He was pretty good the last time he was out there, right?
That guy could, if you sign him in December, get ready for a playoff run, absolutely. Their wide receiving core includes Jalen Hyatt.
Gronk seems like a guy that would have fit in on some of those 1970s baseball cards we're talking about. In that era, he would have been right at home on some of those teams.
Their wide receiving group, Darius Slayton, Paris Campbell, Wan'Dale Robinson, Sterling Shepard, Jalen Hyatt, Cole Beasley as well, plus David Sills, who joined our show a long time ago, I believe. But David Sills, Chad, is the 13-year-old, or was he a seventh grade? He was a seventh grade quarterback that committed to USC when Kiffin was there.
That Lane Kiffin offered, yeah. He was at USC. But he was from, like, Delaware.
That sounds right.
Right?
Yeah.
I remember he was from some place that I was thinking, I didn't know they had high
Or
school
Delaware,
football
then transferred to
prospects there.
California and did some. Anyway, he ends up at West Virginia, and then he is, of course, a wide receiver there. Now he's a backup on the Giants roster trying to earn a roster spot. Yeah, Daniel Jones could do some damage.
Yeah,
With
would not
Saquon
be a
Barkley,
bad setup for him, for sure.
Gronk, and Waller. And then Tyrod Taylor's the backup there if anything were to happen with Daniel Jones.
I think the league with Gronk in it is just infinitely better.
Well,
No
he was
matter
the
where
one.
he
He
is
was
and
the
what
one
he's
that
doing.
said that and confirmed that they were going to Vegas. Tom Brady was going to be
an owner.
No, to play before he went to Tampa.
That was before Tampa. Yeah, this was before.
But it
all
was
the ownership
Gruden that
stuff
nixed
started.
it.
Yep.
That was Gronk's story. Sean Merriman about to join us. Lights out. I'm curious from his perspective, the best defensive player in the league. Is it Micah Parsons? Is it someone else? Who comes to mind for Merriman? That's next on Hot Mic.
What you're experiencing is the bold taste of a Southern legend. Old Smoky Moonshine and Whiskey, authentic Tennessee mountain-style spirits. We believe in crafting flavors that were born from tradition but defy expectation. And pioneering a new experience with every sip. Because if it doesn't do this, it ain't this. Old Smoky Moonshine and Whiskey. Come on.
Welcome into Outkick the Show. I am Clay Travis, your fearless leader.
I am going to continue to argue that sports is one of the great unifying forces in all of American life.
ESPN is a sinking ship. Democrats are now the party of the white, woke college graduate.
We live in a land of participation trophies.
You gotta lean into the turns. You really gotta lean into the turns.
When Leah Thomas walked in that first day, it got silent, and every girl was uncomfortable.
Very difficult to go back-to-back years in the NFL with the number 1 overall pick.
I just think the way Anthony Bass handled this was so sloppy.
Oh, I think it's perfect.
And
I mean,
what he reposted and then how he did it.
He bent the knee and bowed. He was going to catch the ceremonial first pitch.
I've been out of LA long enough to have forgotten that libs, no matter how ridiculous the scenario, are gonna live. Another week of inflation, another week with Biden with COVID, and another set of losers to crown. People don't watch the WNBA on TV, in person, on a plane, on a train, on a bus, or on purpose.
The scary thing, Tommy, is in the history of this government, I've never seen them give anything back that they've taken.
Oh no, they never do.
And they won't.
When you're behind closed doors, when you're talking to plant managers, when you're having meetings, when you're with the team, was there an acknowledgement of any of this, an acknowledgement of the situation, the boycott, and then the doubling down about moving away from the fratty image?
We've seen coaches throw water bottles. We've seen coaches act like idiots. We've seen coaches slap other coaches. But I think if you're involved in carjacking, you're inherently a rotten human being. The level of stupid that sometimes gets on our YouTube chat just gives me a headache. You're born a male, play with males. You're born a female, play with females. Don't at me about it, people. I'm pissed off about this. I never did it before in my life, but Trump is being cheated. The American people are being cheated. We, ladies and gentlemen, are being cheated.
I believe this person is the greatest player anybody alive will ever see. How can you hate Derek Jeter? A guy's on-base percentage tells me his batting eye, and a guy's slugging percentage tells me if he's a threat. That's the kind of guy that throws a no-hitter, that effectively wild guy.
Old Smoky Moonshine and Whiskey. Bold taste of a Southern legend.
Just like that, the final hour is here on this Thursday edition. Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow across the Outkick Network. Chad's got the chips and queso
Brooke inspired me.
as promised.
Brooke inspired me. She reminded me, you know what? Nothing's stopping you. Go get some. And I did. And now they're on the table. I won't get to them, though, until after we get done talking with our next guest.
That's right.
Because we're excited to talk to him.
No doubt. Lights out. Sean Merriman joins us back on the show. Glad you're with us on Outkick, man. Hope things are well.
What's up, guys? I'm a little jealous. You got food over there and I don't. So
I'll let you know how it is, Sean. I'm sure it's going to be delicious. I'll make you a little bit more jealous after I have a few.
Was it difficult for you to keep weight on during the season? What was your calorie intake when you played?
You know, during the off season, man, I typically walked around about 272, 273, and I played around 262. So 10-pound fluctuates. But we did have some guys, man, that couldn't keep up the weight, who would, when we have the weekly weigh-ins, they would take the 2.5 to 5-pound weights and slide them into their pants so the trainers didn't know, just so they could make weight. I wasn't one of those guys, but the other guys definitely did that.
What was the fine for missing weight?
I think it was about $500 to $1,000 a pound that you missed. So
if you got the 5-pound weight, you're trying to save a little cash in your pocket for the flight.
Oh, yeah. We're talking about 3,000 or so. And we had some of the guys who would just go up, the big offensive lineman or defensive lineman, to just pay their fine before the year, cut them a check for $25,000 and say, look, I'm going to be overweight. There it is.
I love that.
Where would the money go?
Oh, to the NFL.com, right? the NFL Charity Needed Deep Pockets Association. That's where it went.
Lights Out Extreme Fighting. Last time we had you on, I believe it was Lights Out 8. Now it's 10 coming up, I believe, next Saturday. Tell us about it, and this grows and grows.
Yeah, we got a big fight next Saturday at the Casino Palma in San Diego. So if you guys are in San Diego, get your tickets at lightsoutxf.com. We got a nice partnership going with Fanatics. You can get 20% off your Fanatics purchase by going to lightsoutxf.com, get a ticket there. So if you don't have that, if you're not there, watch us on Fubo TV, Fubo Sports, man. We'll be live on Fubo August 26th in San Diego.
I want to get your take on this. So where are we headed in the fight game? Not from the boxing ring, but from MMA. And I'm tying it in with what Jake Paul and what they've done. The celebrity aspect of it is more than the actual sport itself and the build. I think boxing's in a pretty good spot right now compared to years past, personally. But UFC, it's UFC or bust right now. Can you model the same concept in the cage like they're doing in the boxing ring?
You could. It's a little bit a different discipline, but I think that people need to understand that there's a separation between entertainment and boxing, right? So,
no doubt,
I think the Nate Diaz and Jake Paul fight was great. It was entertaining, right? It was entertainment. It wasn't a boxing fight, quote unquote. I mean, you're not looking for top-notch, high-level boxing.
It's not sweet science.
Was it entertaining? Yeah, was it entertaining? Yeah, I bought it. I watched. Yeah. I was entertained. And I think a lot of other people did too. What we do, man, we have for Lights Out Extreme Fight, we have the next up-and-coming superstars, right? We want to find that young Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey, or the Michael Chandlers and Connors of the world. We want those guys. We want to grow with those guys. And a lot of them end up taking off and signing big contracts with UFC, and we're fine with that.
So the celebrity angle to this, I think immediately of Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
And you talked about the entertainment versus the sport of it, Sean. Can two normal guys getting in the ring, even if they're famous, can that be entertaining with the discipline we're talking about in mixed martial arts fighting, if it is those two guys? I know a lot of people pay to watch it, but will it be any good?
Yeah, because if you get two bad people, it looks really good on TV, right? It's it's one of those things where they definitely have amateur fights. And by the way, look, if Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, if they fought, it'll be the biggest fight of all time. I don't think people understand that. So it's not, not just one of these things. You're talking about two guys that's famous off of the streets. You're talking about two tech giants. If that happens, it'll be not one of the biggest fights. It'll be the biggest fight of all time. And so for us, we can actually have celebrities. And you have basic training. We can have amateur matches. I wouldn't mind matching two guys up on amateur fights if they were just celebrities, and people would love to see those guys scrap.
Do you think they really do it, or do you think it's just talk?
From whose side? With Mark Zuckerberg or just the celebrities in general?
No, Zuckerberg and Musk. Yeah.
Zuck wants to go. Zuck wants to fight. I think it's Elon's side that doesn't want to push forward. Mark Zuckerberg has been training jiu-jitsu and doing tournaments for the last 2 years. So he's equipped to go and have a fight right now. And I think eventually he probably will take a fight, maybe in UFC, maybe not. But at the end of the day, I think he will take a fight. But this is going to open a door. This is why this sport, MMA, and why I'm doing so much of it, Lights Out Extreme Fighting. We're just watching the ice of the tip of the iceberg. If Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk fight, you're going to have big CEOs. You're going to have big CEOs from all over the world challenging each other because you know what? Somebody has to do something to break the ice. And that's what's going to happen. If these guys go and scrap, you're going to have big CEOs from Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies to say, you know what? If they can do it, I can do it.
Speaking of fighting, we had someone in the YouTube chat ask this question earlier and said, are there more fights at training camp and at joint practices now as opposed to before? My response was, no, there's just more video of those fights that happen at training camp. You would know firsthand, Sean. What do you think about fighting you see or hear about now at NFL training camps versus when you were playing?
It's just more cameras, like you said. That's about it. And you know what? If I was a coach, I would be more concerned if there was no fights at all, right? I saw Andy Reid come out when Travis Kelce threw a couple of punches in practice and say, oh, this is a waste of time, don't do it. Yeah, you don't want to promote a fight, but guess what, guys? This is a physical combat, very violent, aggressive competition. You're seeing the same guy every day. I mean, it's something that's bound to happen, right? And you're in training camp, the dog days, you're mentally wearing down, you're physically wearing down. And all it takes is just an offensive lineman just to push you a little bit after the play, and that's it. You might have been looking at this guy all day in the cafeteria. You might have felt he was looking at you the wrong way, and he couldn't wait to get to practice to fight you. And so those guys are brothers. They're family, and anybody that say they haven't fought with anyone in their family before would be lying. So I just think it's normal. It's a part of it. And it's like you said, there's more cameras around to capture what's going on.
You sound like Deion Sanders talking about it, who talked to his Colorado team and said, we want to promote a family atmosphere and families fight at times, and got onto his players not for fighting, but for the players who didn't get involved in the fight when their teammates started fighting at practice recently. Off. It sounds like you'd fit in well on Deion's staff, possibly, Sean, if you were to coach with him at Colorado.
I think we got a very like-minded mindset. And I want to just kind of break this down to people when they heard him say, hey, I want everybody fighting. He's not promoting the fight. It's just that those two guys, when you see your teammates, your brothers over there fighting, don't mean you have to go over there and fight. You could be going over there to break it up. But don't see a big commotion or someone jumping on your guy's back or he's getting, teamed up on and you're walking away like nothing happened. So what Deion Sanders is basically saying is, hey, you guys, get your asses over there. You may not have to fight, but go break up a fight. But don't walk away when you see guys over there getting physical. And that's setting the tone across the entire program. Go over there and get in the action. Whether you're fighting or breaking it up, I do not want to see my two guys walking away from a scrum like that.
Lights Out 10 coming up next Saturday night. Lights Out with Extreme Fighting. You can visit lightsoutxf.com for more. Sean Merriman, our guest. Sean, I was burned on the Chargers last year. The defense was not good. I was all in, though, at this time last year on the Los Angeles Chargers. Can I go all in with them again? Have they turned a corner?
You have to. You have to. And people talk about them getting, booted out the playoffs by Jacksonville Jaguars, that big upset. They came back, lost, took the foot off the gas. Yes, I get that. Let's talk about the injuries they had during the season. They had Joey Bosa down for an extended period of time. J.C. Jackson went down. Khalil Mack went down. Justin Herbert hurt his ribs, I think the third or fourth game of the year against KC. There were injuries. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams only spent half the season together. So if you look at the injuries and things that happened last year, really, they shouldn't have been in the playoffs in the first place. I mean, really, they shouldn't have been there. And so, I guess that's a silver lining of things, but let's not make the mistake, and people are not talking about it enough. Kellen Moore, we're seeing it now during the offseason and training camp. Kellen Moore is the biggest addition to the coaching staff of any coaches in the National Football League. I know Ben-Ami and all these guys are great. They got some new coaches coming around. People are not talking about Kellen Moore enough and what he's going to be able to do with this offense. You got the quarterback with the strongest arm. You got a new wide receiver from TCU, Johnson, who can stretch the field down the field. great route runner like Keenan Allen, possession wide receiver like Mike Williams, Everett, Eckler. People are just not talking about them about Kellen Moore in this addition to that offense enough.
Who is the best defensive player in football right now? Overall player.
It's hard. I mean, I love Fred Warner. I love guys that play off the ball, but I think the most dominant guy right now, in my opinion, is Nick Bosa. In my opinion, I just think that when you have a pass rusher that requires a double team at all times. I mean, look, you can throw Aaron Donald up there. It's hard, but I'm just speaking from the outside linebacker and the pass rusher. So Aaron Donald, Nick Bosa, I would say 1 or 2. But anybody that demands a double team, when you got to adjust your offensive playbook because he's on the field, those are the guys you look at are keys to being dominant players.
Talking to a couple players, that pound for pound, and we'll stick it with the fight game here, like just the top to bottom football player, not just on defense. Many say Micah Parsons. Are you in on that boat, in that camp?
This is my thing with Micah Parsons, and I told him this personally, and I really do believe this. Not only is he a freakish athlete, we haven't seen anything like him in the last decade and a half, maybe more, right? That speed, his leverage, and what he's capable of doing. I mean, last year when he took that 300-plus offensive lineman and he humped him over and threw him out the way like a 13-year-old kid, I knew automatically that this dude is different. What I want to see out of Micah Parsons this year is that now he has the notoriety. Everyone knows who he is. And from my first year in going from defensive rookie of the year, Pro Bowl, All-Pro, and to that second year, I've seen more blocks, stunts, double teams than you can ever imagine. So I want to see him. Now he has that notoriety, and everyone knows about Micah Parsons and what he can do. And now people are going to start keying on him. Can you go out and not only play as you did before, but up your game now that everyone knows about you? Because they're coming out to scheme him. They got some really good players on that defense, Lawrence, Van Der Esch, and they got guys in that defense. But Micah Parsons, there's no one like him.
Who's the current quarterback you'd love to get after? If you could play today and compete against one of these quarterbacks, who's the guy you'd like to see on the field?
Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he's such a dynamic player, and his capabilities and what he can do. There was a play some years ago when Von Miller was chasing him from behind, and he would Pat was going left, and he was being chased down behind by Von Miller. He switched the ball to his left hand and still threw the ball down the field for a completion. Anyone else in the entire National Football League, that is a sack. This guy can do things that we haven't seen anybody do before. So I always wanted to make my name off of going against some of the best guys and say, you know what, I shut that guy down. He's the best in the league. And if you look back at my career and the sacks that I had against Peyton Manning and Tom Brady and these guys, Ben Roethlisberger, I did that because those were the great quarterbacks. As an outside linebacker, defensive player, that's how you make a name for yourself, by playing well against the greats.
Jeb, was it him that was talking about being nice to the defense?
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen it, but the quarterback series on Netflix that followed Mahomes and two other guys for an entire season, Mahomes claims that he thinks that subconsciously defenders let up on him because he's always overly nice to everyone who sacks him and tells them good hit, and he's always telling them good job on everything. So he thinks that maybe they'll let up on me at times. They have a chance to really drive me into the ground. To which I'm thinking it's probably the rules of the game that maybe have changed that more than anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's definitely the rules, man. I watched the quarterback series on Netflix. I thought it was great.
Yep.
I know a lot of guys have turned it down, but I would like to see more guys come on board. I think it was an insight on how great some of these guys are. But I think it's the rule changes. I don't think anybody's doing anything extra nice or extra kind to lay a guy down. They're laying a guy down because they don't want that $30,000 fine in their locker a couple of days later after the game.
Yeah, better not even touch the quarterback at that point. Lights Out Extreme Fighting, presented by Family First Live. Lights Out 10 coming up a week from Saturday. Sean, final minute here. Tell us why to get this.
Yeah, it'll be live on Fubo Sports, Fubo TV. If you guys don't have Fubo, get it. This is our biggest card yet. We've sold the most tickets so far. Maybe it's because we're going back in San Diego that we have in the history of the company. It's going to be great. Got a bunch of military and Camp Pendleton soldiers coming out. This one's just going to be awesome. Got some great partners. As you said, our partner, Family First Life, Maverick Gaming, Ghost Energy. We got some great sponsors on board. So just happy about this. But you guys check us out on Fubo TV, Fubo Sports. And if you're in San Diego, lightsoutxf.com. Oh, Fanatics. If you guys looking for 20% off Fanatics, get a ticket to lightsoutxf.com and get your 20% off Fanatics.
You are a born promoter, man. Good job
right.
with all this. This is what you should be doing.
I'm all right. I'm not bad.
Hey, man, this continues to grow and build. Congratulations on it.
Yeah, I know it's a lot of hard work,
we look
too.
forward to following it for sure. We appreciate you, Sean, as always.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. Sean Merriman there. NFL
Lights
Defensive
out.
Rookie of the Year. Oh, the Lights Out story from the last time he visited with us was phenomenal.
I'm glad he watched the quarterback series also, so he had something to say about it. I'm with him, too. I hate that guys are turning it down. I understand contract situation, or some people are more private. Jalen Hurts being one of them.
Herbert turned it down because he said, I'm boring. He just to me, I don't think I'll be good on the show because I'm boring.
I think if you saw the first season, it's going to make everyone look interesting. Marcus Mariota looked interesting in this. Hutton, you covered Marcus Mariota. Good dude.
Behind the scenes, great dude. But
yeah,
like in front of a camera, boring.
Yeah, not the most outgoing guy, but he is interesting the way this is shot and the way this is done. So I wouldn't be afraid at all if I were one of these guys to do it.
Well, there'll be season 3 and 4.
Yeah.
This will be the new Hard Knocks.
Season
Of
2 looks
popularity,
good,
I'm saying.
with Aaron Rodgers a part of it.
Well, I'm saying Aaron Rodgers on Hard Knocks is popular, but who knows who's next year? You know what I mean? Coming up, the Tuohys, they say, hey, conservatorship, it could end with Michael Oher. Details there and more on Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow.
The two biggest social media giants, Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, are set to battle it out, and I'm here on Broadway asking people who they put their money on. Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk, they're gonna fight each other. Who do you think's gonna win?
I think Mark's got him.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Because he's a man.
Okay, and Elon Musk isn't.
Oh, well, of course, he's got money.
Okay.
He's got money. Money, well, money's money.
Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg in a fight?
I don't know. I'm going to go with Musk.
Why?
It just seems like he's a little bit younger, a little bit smarter.
You just got a good feeling about him?
I got a good feeling.
Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg?
Musk.
Why?
He trains. That guy's going to beat his.
But Mark Zuckerberg is actually training jiu-jitsu for 9 months.
Not happening. Not Elon Musk all day. Elon Musk.
Why do you think?
He has no soul. I mean, I think he's definitely just going to no holds barred.
Elon Musk.
Why do you think that?
I don't know. I feel like he's stronger and smarter.
Oh, Elon Musk.
All the way? Why?
All the way. He's an animal. Think about it.
Mark Zuckerberg's been training for 9 months jiu-jitsu. You think Elon Musk can take him?
Yeah, I think he could take him.
Elon, that oh God, stop playing with Elon. Elon really do this out here, for real.
I hope Elon
Really? Why do you think so?
got better ideas.
Zuckerberg's like 5'7", 155. Musk is 6'1", 190. But Zuckerberg's been training jiu-jitsu for 9 months. Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg, who's going to win in a fight?
Oh, Elon Musk. No doubt.
Why do you think so?
He's the GOAT. I've been seeing all the Twitter handles and all the talk, and I'm on Elon Musk's side. I'm ready for them to get in the WWE ring and then come off the top rope. That's what I want to see. I want to see a people's elbow to Mark Zuckerberg.
If one was more likely to be a lizard or a robot, who would it be?
Elon.
Okay.
I think Mark Zuckerberg will win.
Why do you think that?
Because I think he already trains MMA. So he's got like the prior experience and stuff. I mean, they're both billionaires, so they have the opportunity to get the best training. But I think Mark Zuckerberg will pull away with the win.
Elon Musk.
Why do you think so?
Because he's bigger.
Bigger, okay, but Mark Zuckerberg's been training jiu-jitsu for 9 months. Do you think that matters?
No.
Zuckerberg, he's part alien or robot, so he may have some secret powers that we don't know about.
I was going to say, is that an advantage? Does he have an advantage over Elon Musk then?
Yeah, I mean, if he, sheds his skin and becomes an alien and eats everyone, yeah, I think so.
Elon Musk is mental, so Elon Musk.
All it is just he's mental. He's mentally crazy, so.
He just wouldn't care, would he?
Okay.
He'd just absolutely go for it. I think Zuckerberg would be a bit more refrained.
Okay.
If that should ever happen, which I doubt, but you never know, it'd be entertaining.
Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg?
Elon Musk.
Why?
Because my dad is in love with Elon Musk.
Okay.
I think I'm going to have to go with Zuckerberg. I mean, Threads just came out, so.
Who do you think would win?
Zuck.
Why do you think so?
He's not a real human. He's a robot.
So he'll use that to his advantage.
Yeah, and all the Krav Maga stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah. Who do you think would win in a fight, Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk?
Elon Musk.
Why do you think Elon Musk?
I think Elon's
He
smarter.
works with robots, so maybe he built a robot to fight for him.
But what if Mark Zuckerberg is a robot?
Oh, wow. Then I might have to change my answer.
Who do you think is going to win?
Me.
Sixth and Peabody, our location with Yeehaw Beer and Old Smoky Moonshine. Chad tried to do it. He tried to finish the last chips and queso prior to the break coming back, and you nearly did it.
What I'm finding is
if this were the hot dog eating competition, this would have counted, by the way.
Yeah, there's no time to talk during a short break when you're eating, trying to finish something.
That's
Also,
no doubt true.
I found that chips are not something that stick really well on the molars. As you talk, it's like grinding sand, sort of. So as we go through the segment, I'm going to slowly continue chewing the rest of the chips because it's really up in the molars.
Can we get into your dilemma on vehicle? Can we do this for a minute? What
Sure.
you're looking at? You don't
Yeah.
have to mention the brands and stuff.
Well, I'm looking.
Hot Night with Hutton Withrow rolls on.
I'm looking
Chad
at
has been talking
possibly-
about a truck for years.
Mm-hmm.
You may be on the eve of getting one. Can we? I'm
go
jealous
test drive.
of this, by the way.
I'm going to go test drive a couple trucks tomorrow. I'll be test driving a Ford F-150 and a Chevy Colorado. If anyone has any
Should we have
suggestions on either one.
Is Royce in the chat to give you his take?
I'm sure Royce knows all about them, so he's going to tell me both the pros and the cons
Okay.
of both of them. I've long wanted a Ford F-150, but I'm also trying to be practical and knowing that I'm going to be driving this vehicle downtown every day and parking it in a smaller lot. So I'm trying to think
need
about
a Prius if
gas
you're worried about that.
mileage and all of that, right? To try to plan it out. But yeah, some financial decisions have to be made.
Yep, sure.
Some things will be cut. Some
doubt.
things won't. It's basically, I've got a car with 200,000 miles on it. That's going to cost me, I found out today, I think $1,600 to repair.
And you're worried about other repairs, and if you're going to put more money into the repairs than what you could pay on the monthly car, on the new truck.
Yeah, I'm not a big car person. Most people would have gotten a different car 2 or 3 years ago. I will drive my cars into the ground, but it just may be time to go
Same.
ahead and get something else. So I'm trying to figure that out. But if anyone has suggestions, please.
What was
hit
your
us up
first
on
car?
Twitter, on the YouTube feed also. My first car was a 1989 navy blue Jeep Cherokee. That was my first car.
I had the 86 GMC Sierra Classic. Black, red stripe down the side. Loved it. I would buy that thing back in a heartbeat if I could. I told you, there was a guy who came off the mountain, a mountain man, and drove up as I'm washing the truck in my driveway on the farm and offered me like $4,000 cash for it. And I talked to my dad. My dad is like my business associate.
He's your consigliere.
He's like, hey, you can do it. It's worth less than that, by the way, at the time. And he's like, you can do it if you want. So I did it, and the truck just drove off out of the driveway.
That's amazing. I love that your dad was so hey, got to make your own decisions.
I was about to go to college.
Make your own business decision. My grandfather, another grand story today, he bought all of us grandkids a car, and he was not a rich man, but he would go and haggle with people or dealerships on used cars constantly. He bought this car from a coworker of his that did sheet metal. And he had this old car that was for his kid. That was this was, I was 16 in 1998 to date myself. This was a 9-year-old car, but it was a nice, for first cars, I think he got it for $3,000. Had a lot of mileage on it. Had over 100,000 miles. But an 89 Jeep Cherokee, I was thrilled with it. Loved it. My second car when I went out to college.
We're looking at right here?
That's close to it. That one's probably a little bit older. Mine was like the navy blue, and it had the gray on the bottom. So like half of the bottom was gray. You know what I'm talking about? It wasn't just the stripe on the bottom. Like the bottom half was like gray
this
plastic.
This one's been keyed, too, it looks like.
Yeah, my car looks like it's been keyed also. It is not. I just happened to get too close to a truck with pipes sticking out the side of it when I was trying to pull around it, and it scraped the side of my car, my current car. Second car, Hutton, which was my favorite vehicle ever, was a 1997 Isuzu Rodeo.
Oh.
And I mean, I could drive that thing today and be happy. Yeah. I love that vehicle. That was my transport to and from Knoxville to go to UT, back and forth.
The ride or die.
So I needed the new car. You know, I need a new car because I'm going off to school and I've got to drive certain mileage. And so we got a safer car with less mileage on it, which was great. But what a time to be alive.
Would you buy your cars back?
This Jeep Cherokee is also not it. That one, those tires are a little tricked out for what I have.
That looks like what your truck's going to have now.
Yeah, I had the tires of like a Geo Prism on my Jeep Cherokee. They weren't factory standard. They were a little small for it. They certainly weren't those. It was great though. I remember leaving basketball practice. My car would take forever to start every time. And there'd be a guy on my team who would wait. It could be 18 degrees outside with the hoodies on. And every time I'd start, he'd sit out in front of me and he's like, all right, good.
Like,
every time that it actually starts.
To make sure you were able to go.
It was a joke. As a joke to him. He's like, all right. He would applaud.
I would have wanted there
in
case it wouldn't start.
Yeah, it always started. It always started. It just took a little while.
The back and forth started with Sean Lee and Tuohy and Michael Oher, well, based on them years ago. From the Tuohy side of things, through their lawyer. Earlier this week, on Monday, lawsuit filed in the Shelby County, Tennessee court from Oher claiming that he was tricked into signing a conservatorship instead of being legally adopted. That has since been phrased as he signed this with the understanding that it would be an adoption. Chad, what do you make of that? Which, again, it's semantics on how they're phrasing things versus the wording in the actual court filing that we were reading from on Monday. And while the numbers are 100,000 here, 300,000 there, Michael Lewis, the author of The Blind Side, detailed that today in an interview with the New York Post. What we haven't heard clarity on is the 2.5% residuals that Oher, through his attorney, filed through that lawsuit, that they want the financial records, and they've specifically mentioned the 2.5% deal that they worked out using Oher's, legally using Oher's name in the conservatorship authority to make that deal happen.
Which someone is claiming that Oher opted out of that, right? He didn't want the royalties?
No, he opted out of the $100,000 payment.
Gotcha.
Not from Lewis, not the film. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Look, here's what I make of all this. I mentioned it earlier, but Michael Oher made his accusations. Now the Tuohy family's come back and said, you can have the conservatorship, and here's what actually happened. And we're getting a lot of added parts to this story.
Yes.
And I'm assuming if Michael Oher's got more in this, and he's got a legitimate case that he's filed this lawsuit on, that we're going to hear more from Michael Oher. And we're going to get more hard-line financial evidence from the Tuohys about what exactly went on and what they got paid for The Blind Side, and did they compensate everyone in the family, including Michael Oher, and all of those things. So a lot more to come on that. Here's something that really jumped out to me, Hutton, with this story, and we can talk about this from a broader perspective. When reality gets in the way of a good story. The Blind Side was a great story. I've read the Michael Lewis book. It's terrific. The movie was very well done. It's a feel-good story, and it's entertaining. And the whole thing is really cool and well put together. But as we know, when stories are told through a third party, things get muddled a bit, especially when Hollywood is involved. And things can be changed, and details can be added or left out, or characters can be added and left out. And just the shocking nature and seeing the response to people of, are you telling me The Blind Side is a lie? and they really did this just to profit from the young man, which we don't have any evidence that they for sure did that. But that was the perception of people when Michael Oher decided to file the lawsuit and say that that's what happened. He was taken advantage of, and that they were profiting off of his name and his ability, and he was left out in the cold and all of that, which was a shocking revelation to people.
Yeah.
I'm currently watching Winning Time on HBO about the Lakers' rise in the 80s. It is outstanding. Highly recommend everyone watching it. Great cast. Lots of stars in it. Really, really well done. But what this show does also is they have a big disclaimer at the start that says while this is based on actual events, stories are added, characters are added, there are fill-in conversations that did not happen that are added to the show. Now, what it equates is a highly entertaining look back at a glorious time in the history of sport where the Los Angeles Lakers, led by Jerry Buss and Paul Westhead and Pat Riley, and the emergence of Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the captain, all these crazy characters get together, and you've got this amazing sport drama. That sounds great. It's not all true. Even some of the characters aren't truly depicted on the show. So that stark realization of, I want what I'm watching or seeing or reading to be 100% true, and then when you find out it's not, how you come to grips with that at times can be difficult. I don't have any moral problems with what Winning Time has done with anything. I enjoy it.
Jerry West might.
I see it, yeah. But when they have a conversation, just an example, when Magic Johnson is on the phone with the future Cookie Johnson, and they're having a conversation about his sex life in L.A., that conversation didn't happen, and Magic and Cookie are not consulting on the show to say it happened. So this is something to add context between the characters that's just created out of thin air, right? That stuff happens all the time in Hollywood. I think people need to understand that and know that it's not 100% true. But The Blind Side was one that, I feel good about this because I believe this all to be true. And now the retrospect, because of one of the principals, the principal of the story, Michael Oher, years later, now is saying, 20 years later, is saying, hey, it's all a lie. I found out it was a lie recently. But it's just crazy to kind of come to grips with that.
But 12 years ago,
he was saying that
as
he knew
Bobby
about
Barack points out through Outkick, or mentioned the Tuohy's being conservators for him 3 times in his memoir. So he's done that, but he's also said, whatever he signed the conservatorship when he was 3 months past his birthday and when he turned 18, they were the legal conservators. That was to, in his mind, lead to the adoption. They explained to me that it means pretty much the exact same thing as adoptive parents, but that the laws were just written in a way that took my age into account. And that they're taking his age into account. They're also taking his college into account, because in order for them to get through the recruiting rules, the NCAA rules to get him to Ole Miss and to play, because Sean Tuohy was a booster for the Ole Miss program, that's how they went about making sure that they did it within the parameters of whatever was set up, the guardrails there by the NCAA and through the Mississippi College. The Blind Side also, the movie or the book, they never mention that the Tuohy's adopted Oher. That's the other thing, too. So it's all fascinating how quickly the story has gone back and forth. But I keep going back to that 2.5% and the tricked part of it. And Chad, you spoke well there and earlier in the show about, hey, jumping to conclusions and headlines and clickbait, and here's the story, this 24-hour cycle, here's tomorrow's 24-hour cycle. There can always be something that comes out from Oher, and the only thing we've heard from since he filed this through the courts is, I will let this speak for itself through the document, through the lawsuit. So the saga continues.
Yeah, and we got to see more in that to know exactly what's going on there. I know I sent you guys this tweet last night. This is from Jason Munns, who writes for Memphis News, who said the Tuohy family legal team says Tuohy got $100,000 each for The Blind Side. And then someone responded and said, well, what about the royalties? And he says the royalties are included in the $100K. According to the attorneys, they said everyone got $14,000 up front plus 2.5% of the movie's profits, which worked out to $86,000 per member of the family, including Oher, who took all of it. So
Well, let me go back to Michael Lewis's quote then.
Is there a Michael Lewis is talking about what they got originally.
No, but I know, but he also mentions the movie too and what Oher turned down. It's weird.
Yeah,
Again,
well,
there's a lot of different numbers thrown around.
Well, show the numbers. I mean, the attorneys are saying this, then show the documents that say it. But that is coming directly from Tuohy's attorneys. And I said that to you guys because that jumped out to me. And I said, well, he got $100,000. Is there a chance that Michael Oher just suspects wildly that there's a lot more money out there that he's not seeing?
Or someone has told him that.
And what Michael Lewis is saying is the actual truth, that who he should be mad at is Hollywood and not the Tuohys, that he didn't make more money off of this because they made the same amount as he did?
Yeah, but I mean, he would be pissed off about that from the jump, though, right? Not just at 37.
I don't know, because he wasn't pissed off about a conservatorship from the jump.
No,
but he's 37.
But he didn't like the film. He said that.
He said it made him look dumb.
Yeah, but he didn't. He said he just didn't like The Blind Side. He didn't like how it portrayed him. So I mean, but he was saying that in NFL locker rooms when he was playing.
Yeah.
After his college career. Chad, coming up, we've got Pedro mocking the Yankees. It's always good. It's always good banter. The back and forth between Pedro and the Red Sox. And the New York Yankees.
I could hear Pedro say Chihuahua over and over again.
You'll hear it.
I'll go to sleep tonight.
Listen
to Pedro Martinez say Chihuahua.
And the Yankees and Mets will go to sleep tonight hoping not to have a nightmare about the Atlanta Braves.
Oh, they'll be having that nightmare for a while. That was a nightmare lineup they just faced.
Plus, the greatest soccer player on the planet is in Nashville this weekend. Details there on the guy who didn't take the Saudi money. That's next.
What you're experiencing is the bold taste of a Southern legend. Old Smoky Moonshine and Whiskey, authentic Tennessee mountain-style spirits. We believe in crafting flavors that were born from tradition but defy expectation, and pioneering a new experience with every sip. Because if it doesn't do this, it ain't this. Old Smoky Moonshine and Whiskey. Come on.
Welcome into Outkick the Show. I am Clay Travis, your fearless leader. I am going to continue to argue that sports is one of the great unifying forces in all of American life. ESPN is a sinking ship. Democrats are now the party of the white, woke college graduate.
We live in a land of participation trophies.
You gotta lean into the turns. You really gotta lean into the turns.
When Leah Thomas walked in that first day, it got silent, and every girl was uncomfortable.
Very difficult to go back-to-back years in the NFL with the #1 overall pick.
I just think the way Anthony Bass handled this was so sloppy.
Oh, I think it's perfect.
And what he reposted
he did
and how he did it.
He bent the knee and bowed. He was going to catch the ceremonial first pitch.
I've been out of LA long enough to have forgotten that libs, no matter how ridiculous the scenario, are gonna live.
Another week of inflation, another week with Biden with COVID, and another set of losers to crown. People don't watch the WNBA on TV, in person, on a plane, on a train, on a bus, or on purpose.
The scary thing, Tommy, is in the history of this government, I've never seen them give anything back that they've taken.
Oh no, they never do.
And they won't.
When you're behind closed doors, when you're talking to plant managers, when you're having meetings, when you're with the team, was there an acknowledgement of any of this, an acknowledgement of the situation, the boycott, and then the doubling down about moving away from the fratty image?
We've seen coaches throw water bottles. We've seen coaches act like idiots. We've seen coaches slap other coaches. But I think if you're involved in carjacking, you're inherently a rotten human being. The level of stupid that sometimes gets on our YouTube chat just gives me a headache. You're born a male, play with males. You're born a female, play with females. Don't at me about it, people. I'm pissed off about this. I never did it before in my life, but Trump is being cheated. The American people are being cheated. We, ladies and gentlemen, are being cheated.
I believe this person is the greatest player anybody alive will ever see. How can you hate Derek Jeter? A guy's on-base percentage tells me his batting eye, and a guy's slugging percentage tells me if he's a threat. That's the kind of guy that throws a no-hitter, that effectively wild guy.
Old Smoky Moonshine and Whiskey. Old taste of a Southern legend.
Sixth and Peabody, our location with E-Hop Beer and Old Smoky Moonshine. Show has flown by today. That's the goal every day.
By.
To get to 5 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Eastern.
Hutton, it's like
Made
I
it
just
happen.
saw you for the first time today.
Good.
I looked over here, and it was like I saw Hutton for the first time. That's the feeling I got. That's how fast this thing has gone today.
Chad will be holding my hand in a moment here at the broadcast side of Sixth and Peabody.
Can I ask you a quick fair foul about my softball practice last night?
Absolutely.
Had a little fielding practice the first time. Tried to get a little. Thank you. It's over now. No. Trying to get a little infield work in with what I think might be some of our infield, right, for the first time, leading into our first game. And there was a girl, very tough girl, playing catcher, and I just had her put the mask on, nothing else.
Very tough.
But she repeatedly just took softballs off her shin every time.
Very tough.
My daughter was playing first, and she would throw it in home, and she would just miss it, and it would hit her right in the shin. And I was getting concerned for her, and I did this, and I thought maybe I was a little too sarcastic the way I did that. And I said, I went up to her and I said, hey, do I need to go get you your shin guards, the shin guards for the thing? She's like, no. And I said, well, then use your glove. Because you're going to kill yourself if you don't use your glove to stop it.
You're going to be a one
every
leg.
time. And I got done, and she kind of looked at me confused, like, is Coach getting an attitude with me? Is he mad at me?
Are we going to fight?
And I thought to myself, I was trying to joke. It was one of those where you're trying to joke
Is there a
around.
culture problem on this team?
But there was a disconnect on the sense of humor of that 7-year-old I was talking to where she didn't get my sarcastic sense of humor.
Oh, that's believable.
Because I said, well, you know what'll help with those.
Disconnect between Chad
Do
and
you
the
see
7-year-old.
those welts on your shin? What'll help with that is using your glove to catch the ball instead of your shins to stop it every time. But I kind of said it in a because I was trying to hit.
It's 100% fair.
I'm trying to hit ground balls and do different things, and I'm like, I said, can I please go get you some shin guards here, or are you going to catch a ball tonight? Is kind of the way I was trying to frame it.
Will she be wearing shin guards moving forward?
Well, when we get in the game, she has to.
Right.
But
I'm
we're
saying in
not
practice.
No one's pitching. I'm just like, hey, just put this on to get used to seeing things through this catcher's mask if you're going to catch.
Yeah,
but good to know that it was fair. That's good.
I think it's fair. Maybe she took it in a sarcastic way, but I think it's fair. You're looking in the best interest of your player.
Sometimes, like the Dale Sturdivant, Will Ferrell character when he was sarcastic and cutting with the dogs, sometimes a good cutting remark can really get these girls in shape. A little bit of sarcasm goes a long way sometimes. I found that to be true with both adults and kids.
No sarcasm from Pedro Martinez and his reaction to the Yankees' recent losing woes, most recently to the Atlanta Braves.
Just unbelievable. It's hard to watch the Yankees go that way. I remember watching the Yankees early in the season, and when they were going well, they looked like so confident. It was like watching a bulldog beat up on a chihuahua when they were playing those teams. And now they look like the chihuahuas to any other team, especially a good team like the Atlanta Braves.
There's Pedro.
Chihuahua. I love how he says chihuahua.
I could sit and listen to him talk all day.
Yeah, let me also say that he loves what's happening to the Yankees. Don't let him say, man, I hate seeing what's happening to the Yankees. Really hard to watch how they were Bulldogs early in the season. Now they're Chihuahuas. And I'm thinking, no.
14 games out.
Yeah, he loves what he is seeing from these Yankees.
What is the stat you were alluding to on the Yankees right now?
By the way, shout out to Brooke again, who won in trivia last night because she was paying attention to this show, Hot Mic on Outkick, and she heard me say that the Yankees were 60-60. And one of her trivia questions was, what AL East team is up 60-60 dead even right now? And she didn't even know the AL East, the division, but she knew the Yankees because she listened to the show.
What did you win? Oh, they didn't win.
She just won that question.
Oh.
Yeah. Hutton, everyone who listens and watches the show is a winner in their own way.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, she won that round
Even
because
Matt?
of that. Yeah, let's not pay attention to details here, like she didn't
Matt's a
win the whole
winner.
thing. Okay,
Matt
she
always
won
wins.
that round. That's what matters. Is she listened? Matt had no idea. If we had asked that question right after I said it, he wouldn't have gotten it right. Brooke, later that night, heard it on the show, was able to compute that and win that round in trivia. So the Yankees, they are now 1 game under. Okay, so while Brooke was winning in trivia, they lost. They fell 1 game below 500. This is the latest in the season. They have been below 500 since Derek Jeter got called up from AAA in 1995. And that was the last season they finished with a losing record.
And that's the last season they've been this far into the season at 500.
Yes, but now they fell below for the first time. If they don't correct things and at least go over 500, it'll be the first losing season since Jeter got called up mid-season in 1995. Since Derek Jeter was the opening day starter, they have not had a losing season. That is remarkable.
They begin a weekend series now they'll host Boston. They've got the Red Sox coming in. Speaking of Pedro there. Chad, the final tally of your Atlanta Braves over New York teams over the last week. Is it 58-13?
58-13. The only real crime in all this is that they weren't 7-0. I mean, you hear that score and you think, 6-1 is pretty good. But, they went 6-1 against New York baseball teams. 58-13 was the final tally. I just now the Braves are getting to a point where they're so good that it's going to be a letdown if they don't win it all, right? They feel like a team of destiny that's like, man, this is one of the all-time greats. And if they lose in the first round, it's going to be a real shot.
So there is going to be a fever pitch here in Nashville for the greatest soccer player on the planet who's coming to town. We are no soccer aficionados here, Chad and I.
No, we're not.
But we have one in studio with Colin Warner, who handles all things Outkick Radio Network for us. Colin, here comes Messi to Nashville. You were in attendance earlier this week, and then certainly you were watching Inter Miami as they advance, and you sent us a text and said, Messi to Nashville, boys. Are you going to be in attendance?
Expletive.
Are you going to be in attendance to see Messi play on Saturday?
I am going to find a way to be in attendance, whether it's crawling through a tunnel, going over a fence.
What are tickets going for?
Tickets right now are going for
They've gone down, though, right?
They have gone down since yesterday when they went on pre-sale for season ticket holders.
Okay.
And then the general public like myself. They started off supporter section where I sit usually range about $25 to $35 regular MLS games. Yesterday they were starting off at $300 for season ticket holders and $800 for general public. So yeah, it's not an NSC or a Nashville thing or even a Ticketmaster thing. It's just the League's Cup, and the League's Cup is a tournament inside of the MLS season. So tickets are going down, as Chad said. So right now I think the latest was about $625 for supporter section, which is standing room only. And if you're familiar, ever watched an MLS game, it's the drumming and the chanting. And as Brooke knows, I'm a clapper, not a singer. She was at a game last Friday. So, yeah. So hopefully,
I would be with you on that.
Yeah, that beautiful voice, you should be a singer.
Yeah. And,
everyone gets to hear that beautiful voice
sultry.
now.
So here's Messi.
Sound like Rob Gronkowski talking to Kay
This
Adams.
has been a massive success for MLS. And for Messi, who is the guy who didn't take the Saudi money. Meanwhile, Ronaldo and Neymar, the two other popular soccer figures that come to mind. Mbappe, we know, didn't either, but he has financial reasons elsewhere where he's trying to go. From an MLS perspective, can it be any better the way Messi's playing?
No, it can't. I mean, he has 6 goals in his first 9 games. It can't
winners too, like the drama.
I mean, the social media following and the millions of people who have rewatched that free kick against, I believe it was Cruz Azul in his first game, to win the game in the 90th minute. I mean, I know the Hollywood writers are on strike, but they couldn't have written this any better. And in the global ecosystem of soccer, the amount of money and eyeballs that are on the MLS right now are massive. And the amount of eyeballs that are going to be on Nashville this weekend is massive. So you can't write it any better. What he's doing with, like I said, the social media followers, Apple Plus TV, his first 3 games, they saw an increase in viewership. And I think we've said before that Apple doesn't really release numbers, but they did release the numbers on his first 3 games, and it's unbelievable. His first game was Spanish on Univision, had like 1.75 million people watching. That was the highest MLS single season game since I think 2004. So what he's doing overall is just amazing, and it's just a boon for the MLS, for Apple, for everyone.
How pissed off are the Nashville SC supporters that go to every game, or most of them, that now can't afford to go to this game, the biggest soccer event in the history of the city of Nashville? Because, quite frankly, the Clay Travises of the world who said yesterday, never even thought about going to an MLS game, but I'll probably go to this one. I'll probably pay for me and my kids to go to this one. It's going to be the elite of Nashville at this game, right? And it's going to suffocate out the diehard supporters of the team. Is there
although they did have the season ticket early sale.
Is there a groundswell of anger from those people?
Yeah, there's 2 camps. There is. And, all the supporters clubs and the supporters groups are the people who have been with the club since it was a small team playing at Vanderbilt Stadium, and those regulars that can't afford this, that there is a groundswell. The season ticket holders, what they've been doing, or what they did apparently, is buy up all the tickets or buy extra tickets because you could buy 6, and thinking that they could sell them for a high end, make their money back, and then make some. I felt bad. Like I said yesterday to our crew, I feel bad for the families with the small kids who, those kids just want to see Messi, and they have to wait until next year, but they can't afford, tickets, $1,000 a ticket. You can't afford a $4,000 soccer
Clay
game.
small kid will get to see him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Clay will be there.
Don't worry about that.
So
some small kids will get to see Messi. I just want to be clear on that. There's a
groundswell. People are pissed. Supporters are pissed, but hopefully by Saturday, half the stadium hasn't sold out yet. So hopefully by Saturday, the prices will come down to, I guess, manageable, even if $100 is manageable.
But so even the early release went from $35 in the semifinal to $300?
Yeah, for season ticket holders.
Wow.
And then for pre-sale for just normal Joes like myself, they were up to $800.
Think about that impact for the league. That, and again,
I
know this is the other tournament
big.
that you've got. This is massive.
How important is the Leagues Cup?
What
is this exactly?
This is basically the inaugural season, the inaugural tournament.
So this is like the NBA mid-season tournament of MLS.
If you're familiar with like the English Premier League, it's like the FA Cup kind of thing. It's a month-long tournament. It's huge. It's huge for Nashville. It's huge for Miami because it's getting a trophy. And both teams came into the league in 2020. So it's getting a trophy. Nashville's already qualified for the CONCACAF Champions Cup, which is a global tournament, and so it's huge for the team, for what this community has how they built this team, and it's massive. Now, if the supporters can get into the grounds, I'm interested to see if the tickets don't go down too much. I want to see what the stadium sounds like, because the past 8 days have been an absolute banana nutcase. It's been off the wall. I shared a video with Chad the day after the Club America game, after we thought we lost, we thought we won, we thought we lost.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm hoping we can all get in at a decent price, and it'll be absolute bonkers.
Well, Messi fever is pretty cool to see across America, and now hitting our town.
And it doesn't
here in
happen.
Nashville.
It doesn't happen if he doesn't turn down the $1.5 billion.
I know, it's crazy, but it's awesome to see all that here. Quick shout out also, I'm very impressed with Apple's coverage of MLS.
From what I've
seen,
seen,
I have not watched
great.
much, but I've watched the last 2 matches, a good chunk of both now, and I think their production value. Say what you want about Apple company, their production value is top notch, and every show they do, everything they produce is really, really well done.
We've got to get Colin in the building for Messi. on Saturday.
We need to.
I'm not even worried about the trophy. It's just the trophy is getting to see Messi play
Pose
in
is one of
person.
Clay's kids, and you'll get
I
in.
have a limit. I already know what I want to spend, so hopefully it gets around there.
What if I pose
but-
as Clay and take Colin as my son?
Maybe Clay can open a conservatorship for you. maybe
It's not legally binding.
maybe the Tuohy family can finally adopt someone.
That's not legally binding.
They can
Maybe the
afford to
Tuohys
get
will be
in.
there.
And
yeah. Michael Oher may be there.
Will Sean Tuohy adopt me, please? You've really dropped the ball not adopting Michael. Adopt me, and then I'll go to the game.
Colin, appreciate you, man.
You're the man, Colin.
Thanks, fellas.
Messi to Nashville. Chad, I mean, Taylor Swift, global icon.
It's a big deal.
Now Messi.
Anyone who's the least bit cynical on soccer, this is a big deal. Everyone should acknowledge that.
Yeah. We're back at it tomorrow to get you to the weekend, 3 o'clock Eastern, for Outkick's Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow.